for the state houses of assembly. With a lot of questions surrounding the declaration of Bola Ahmed Tinubu, aka Jagaban, as winner of the 2023 presidential election, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Mr. Peter Obi, and his People's Democratic Party, PDP counterpart, Alhaji Atiku Abubakar, yesterday rejected the outcome of last Saturday's presidential poll and vowed to challenge it in court. The United States government has asked the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, to address its technical shortcomings ahead of the governorship elections. With the world watching how the elections was conducted, especially Nigerians in diaspora, it raises concerns about the outcome and the conduct of the 2023 elections will affect Nigerians in diaspora as we head towards the governorship election on the 11th of March. Well, joining us to discuss this is Okelue Ikenna Ernest, Acting Secretary, Association of Anambra State in Istanbul, Turkey. And he is also a member, Association of Anambra People in Europe. How are you, Ikenna? Ikenna, can you hear me? Okay, he's going to fix whatever technical issues he's having, and then we'll have him back. We'll also have Pastor Benjamin Kwentua, Principal Consultant, Purpose Track Consulting, and Senior Pastor of Worship Ordained Assembly, both located in New York, USA. You're welcome, Mr. Benjamin Kwentua.
Good morning, Maureen. I want to say good morning, viewers, and I'm so happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Okay, I'm told that Ikenna has joined us. Hello, Ikenna.
Yes.
How are you doing in Turkey?
We are fine. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here. Thank you.
You're welcome. We're happy to see that you're okay. What has happened in Turkey is so heartbreaking, and well, we are happy to see that you, Ikenna, are doing well and are able to join us to discuss the progress of our nation.
Thank you.
Well, no doubt, those of you living abroad have keenly watched what happened, and you are keenly watching it even as it continues to unfold, because the dust raised by the events of the 25th of February is far from being settled. Tell us your overviews of all that played out during the elections. Let me start with you, Ikenna.
Okay. Period before this election, so many mind-changing orientation was going on. For we as Nigerians in diaspora, we begin to have hope that we are beginning to have a new nation, a country that we can be proud of, a country that we can beat our chest and say, yes, I am in Nigeria. But what really happened on the 25th of February was so disappointing. I won't say that's an election, but I would say I'm looking for the perfect word to use, but then it's not an election. We saw what happened on that day.
What were some of the things you saw? What were some of the things you saw when you monitored?
We saw a lady, Jennifer, who was stabbed on the face because he came out to vote for her father's land, to exercise her legal rights. We also saw a situation whereby in front of a law enforcement agent, somebody was threatening people, if you're not here, if you're not voting for so party, please kindly leave. We're not joking. In front of the police. You could imagine that. And notice happened. We also saw a situation whereby people snatching ballot boxes, even with police uniform and with police van. Not even that the vehicle was a kind of, maybe is a neutral vehicle, but with our tax-paying vehicle, the police force van, taking a ballot box, snatching them, rough riding. What even don't even mind even it smashed the people in that place, and so many of them. For me, I don't think what we had on the 25th of February election. And to even crown it up, this election I would say, is the worst election ever in the history of Nigeria. Why did I say so? We've seen so many electoral malpractice and stuff like that, but in this case, we find out that we saw even an executive governor with his escorts and his thugs going to the polling booths to snatch and scatter election balloting. It happened in River States. It happened in Edo States. So I don't think what we have here is an election.
All right, we'll come back to you, Okelue. I would probably want to, at some point, have to ask you to compare if you've witnessed any elections conducted where you live and compare that with what has played out here. But let me go to Benjamin Quentua, who resides in New York. Benjamin, I know that you watched keenly, just as I know that so many other Nigerians living abroad monitored the situation keenly. Is your observation any different from what Okelue Ikenna has painted? Tell us your overviews.
Yeah, for those of us over here, I think that one of the greatest challenge for us is how we have decided to showcase ourselves to the world, because if for anything, I think this is one of the elections that has involved the highest number of registered voters in the history of the country. And this is also the election that the INEC has actually made the highest promise to Nigerians, and also to the world. My concern, is INEC not being able to follow its own guidelines, because when it comes to what my brother, Mr. Okelue, has just said, anybody can have proofs of, pockets of everybody committing one illegality or the other. But where I stand is when you come out to say these are the guidelines and we are going to adhere strictly to it, and then before the whole world, you begin to break your own rules, it tells a lot about who we portray ourselves to be. And I think that is a major concern for me.
Benjamin, I know you lived in South Africa at some point. Now you live in the U.S. Have you monitored elections in any of these countries where you reside, where you stayed and where you now stay?
Yes.
Can you give us some comparisons?
Okay, let me start with South Africa. The thing is, for as much as the people are disenfranchised with, the ANC in South Africa, there is a collective resolve to say, you know what, we need to maintain the black supremacy. So, but that is not to suppress other parties. Like in South Africa, when the EFF came up, when Julius Malema, broke away and started the EFF movement, as much as, to the run-up of every election, the ANC, the African National Congress, want to suppress them, it does not go to the polls. When it comes to the polls, it is important to the nation to have a credible election. And when they do that, everybody has the right to vote without fear of intimidation, without fear of being oppressed or suppressed. Also, I find also comparing side by side, I've been privileged to witness 2 presidential elections here in the United States. And what I found different, which is what, forms the foundation of, how I feel, we have shamed ourselves to the world, is the fact that here in the United States, the guidelines are very clear. You don't win by majority vote. Everybody knows that. So it's one thing, though it is okay because you may not stand the chance of winning if you don't have majority votes. But here, the electoral board says there is something called the electoral college, and every state is awarded a number of points. So when you win, even if you win by 1 million to 1, you can only get the number of votes from the electoral college from that state. So by so doing, the state you must win if you have to become the president of the United States. And hence, when Donald Trump, the ex-president, the immediate past president, came into power, Hillary had more votes. But everybody knew the law. And though she had this, and everybody adhered strictly to the rules. And because of that, he was declared, the president. Same thing happened to him in the last election. Joe Biden, it didn't matter if he had more votes than Joe Biden. The same rules that brought him to power was the same rules that ensured he was voted out. And so when the INEC chairman came up with the issue of the beavers and, sending out results in real time. Because don't forget this, because when you talk about law now, you have to take in context every promise that was made. He said the results will be sent in real time. Hence, when you cannot keep your word, I will go with what the Labour Party is saying. That's why, if you notice, from my own observation, the Labour Party is not even saying we won. They said we can prove we won. Mm-hmm. However, they are standing on there was no election. Why? Because it has to be based on guidelines. And if those guidelines are not followed strictly, then everything has to be redone.
Well, thank you, Benjamin. Well, the Labour Party and the PDP yesterday made press conferences where they both claim to have won these elections, and they're both going to challenge the outcome at the courts. Let me go back to you, Okelue Kenna. I don't know how long you stayed in Turkey and if you've witnessed any elections there. Can you tell us and what you saw play out, comparing it to what played out here in Nigeria?
Okay, for me here in Turkey, I've not really witnessed an election, but by God's grace, I'm going to witness one come a few months from now.
All right.
But then with the previous elections and research we've done, and even what's happening now, you can't compare what's happening here with what's happening in Nigeria. Do you understand? Because election here is not as do or die. It's not as do or die. It's not as heartbroken. Just like every Nigerian here should know that what happened on 25th of February is heartbroken. It's heartbroken. We're not happy. We're not proud to say we are Nigerian. What we saw.
Okay, so millions of Nigerians live abroad with an estimated annual remittance of about $25 billion. $25 billion. And so that means that those Nigerians living abroad play a very huge role in the development of Nigeria. The incoming president, no doubt, has the task of getting their attention so that they can also contribute to the development of Nigeria. What structures would you like to see put in place? Because right now, whether we like the outcome of the election or not, someone has been declared winner, and that is Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu of the APC. What structures would you like to see the incoming president put in place that you think would attract the diaspora to look towards Nigeria and confidently invest? Okay.
First, I think the incoming president Bola Ahmed Tinubu should first try to rebuild the confidence of the Nigerians, both home and diaspora, because it will help to carry them along in all his policies. Then the incoming president should also try to tackle critically this issue of insecurity in Nigeria. And I think that's the major thing he should start from. If we could tackle the issues of insecurity, definitely, because without security in any nation, there can never be any meaningful development. There cannot be even foreign investors who will not come. Nobody will want to come to a country where his investment is not secured. So security is the number one thing that the incoming president should look into and tackle it. Then secondly, the incoming president should guarantee Nigerians of constant power supply. It is a basic thing that the government should do for us. It should give us the constant power supply so that we can have confidence. Because looking at, for instance, looking at employment, like during this campaign, I hear talk about employing, recruiting the youths and stuff like that, recruit them in the military, creating jobs and stuff like that. You can't achieve these things. You can't achieve any meaningful development in the dark country, in the dark world. He needs to look into the problem of power, and it's very, very critical. If he can achieve that, Nigerians are industrial people. Nigerians do not even need government to survive. Because if you look at critically what is happening in our country, Nigeria, if you go, for instance, you go to Lagos State, look at the structural development you see there, the infrastructures you see there. I tell you, 60% of the infrastructures you see in Lagos State are built by individuals, not governments. If you go to Anambra State, you go to Port Harcourt, go to Abuja, these are individuals. So Nigerians are industrial people. Government have less job to do. But I would say in the global world, Nigeria is the easiest country to govern if actually you have a leader who have that capacity, who have that political way to effect positive changes. Because what you just need to just put the right things in place. For instance, how can a country develop, or how can a country grow where you can't boast of even pipe-borne water? I wonder when last we talk about water supply, commission of water, or minister of water and stuff like that. I don't know if it really exists. I wonder when last you can say that we have, like, for instance, here in Turkey, even the most wretched house here has water and you can find electricity. But I don't think those things exist in Nigeria anymore. There's no place you come to Nigeria now and you say that you can just come in and on your tap and you see water flowing. So these are the things, these are basic things. Then what does it take Nigerian government to help us to have good roads? What does it take Nigerian government to provide basic infrastructures that will enhance the individual lives of the people? Because what matters in governance is the people. Once the people are well taken care of, that means your administration has something to write home about. But once the people are not taken care of, then there's nothing. You know, I'm telling you for real, sincerely.
Okay, all right. Ikenna, just hold your thought. At this point, Adebayo, I'm sure you have questions or something to say to what some of our brothers abroad and sisters abroad probably thinking right now, and what the guests we have had to say.
Yes, I mean, I have been quite. I've been quite attentive to the dialogue, the conversation, and I understand completely the feelings and sentiments that have been expressed. I was just wondering, you know, we did a comparison with Turkey and with the United States, you know, but I feel really pained because even if you compare us to other African countries, we are not living up to expectation. I can reel off the top of my head countries that have viable democratic structures in Africa. Because when we talk elections, we often tend to say because Nigeria is not getting it right, it means the whole of Africa is not. But I'm happy with the example cited by Benjamin of South Africa, where the ANC has had to cope with the emergence of Julius Malema's economic freedom fighters. And then you have the Democratic Alliance, you know, and then you have other smaller parties. But all these parties have their fair representation in parliament. You know, in Africa, you talk Benin Republic just next to us. They've been having credible elections since former President Soglo was elected, up till today. You go to Namibia, you go to Botswana, you go to South Africa, you go to Senegal, you know, they've been having credible elections. Most parts of Africa, But we tend to think if Nigeria is not working, then the rest of Africa is not working. So I'm happy with that example that is cited. But what do we need to do? And this is where it's similar to the question you asked, Maureen. What do we as citizens need to do to make sure that those who have been given responsibility to carry out certain functions, for instance, elections, security, and power, because it's not only government, but we as citizens, what would you guys say we need to do to compel these people who have budgets, who have constitutional powers, to serve us, to make sure that they actually serve us as they're supposed to?
That's a good question. Benjamin, you want to take that?
Okay. First and foremost, I would say the first thing I feel we need to tackle is to ask ourselves, the fundamental question I believe we need to ask ourselves. The first thing I said to myself is, when I came to the United States, the first thing I noticed is, there's a lot of preconceived notion that we have in Nigeria, which is totally different when you actually live abroad, not just visit, but live, and you see how systems are run. The first thing is, we must first and foremost hold ourselves accountable. Because when we talk about government, we talk like these are institutions of robots. No, these are Nigerians. So who is the Nigerian? That's my question. Who is the Nigerian? Do you know that the American economy is not government driven? It's private sector driven. The only thing the government needs to do is to provide an enabling environment. And that's why I agree with my brother that talks about providing security, providing infrastructure. That's what the government should do. Here in the United States, I'll tell you this, collapse the four major companies, private companies owned by individuals. Here it is called MAGA. If you remove Microsoft, you remove Apple, you remove Google, you remove Amazon. If they shut down those four, the economy of America will go into trauma. It will go into trauma. And so what I'm saying is, who are we as Nigerians? When Peter Obi came up, he came up with a slogan. He said, moving from consumption to production. Because everything we just do back home is buying what we can sell instead of selling what we can buy.
Yes. What
are we producing? I feel it very appalling that in this age and time, we cannot say these are Nigerian products that we can be proud of. Even those who make made in Nigeria products, we rather put made in Italy, and it shows that we are not even sincere. It shows insincerity. It shows lack of dignity in our own labor. And I think those are the questions we need to ask, because we've come to a point where we all need to ask ourselves, who are we and what do we stand for? How come we go outside and then we excel? But when we come home, I remember something that happened, some years ago, where at the Oral Tambo Airport in South Africa, and I was on my way back to Nigeria, and everybody was in order. That was the first time how we meet this popular, then it was in his prime, Two-Face Idibia, and everybody was just like in order, in queue, and everything. And everybody could, you could talk to anybody, reach out to anybody. Everybody was equal. And yet, immediately we landed in Murtala Mohammed Airport in Ikeja. The same people, the same flights. Oh my God.
All right,
what is wrong with us? What's wrong with us as a people?
That's a good question. I remember when, okay, we'll take a break and then I'll come back to remind you, to tell you what I was told when I first showed my excitement about the beavers and the IRF. Someone said to me, You know, Maureen, it's good to be excited, but don't forget that these are machines that will be manned by Nigerians. We'll be right back.
Since the beginning of this campaign, Jando and Funke have rigorously traversed all wards in Lagos State, from Ikorodu to Badagry, Ekpe to Alimosho, seeking to know the true state of our state and where the shoe really pinches. They visited the riverine communities and places that have never been visited before by any governorship candidate in the history of Lagos politics. Funke's market storm is also the first of its kind by a deputy governorship candidate. Lagos. There's so much work to do. It is time to give the man who knows Lagos and can birth a breath of fresh air the chance to lead. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jando as Governor of Lagos State. PDP! Power to the people!
Well, you're welcome back. You're still watching the run-up on Plus TV Africa. I am Maureen, and I've been speaking with some Nigerians living abroad. Yes, because we have millions of Nigerians scattered all over the world with an annual remittance of about 25 billion naira. No doubt the incoming president has to entice them to get them interested enough to invest more in the nation. And I've been speaking with Okelue Ikenna Ernest, who resides in Turkey. I've also been speaking with Benjamin Kwentua, who resides in New York. And of course, I have my co-host, Adebayo Olowoake, who's joining me virtually. Okay, gentlemen, let's go back to what we're saying. Who is the government? What is wrong with Nigerians? Why are we not getting things right? Benjamin, you want to continue from where you stopped? Or I think you've spoken a lot. Let me go back to Ernest. Ernest,
Okay.
do Nigerians behave better in Turkey than they do when they come home in Nigeria here?
Absolutely, Nigeria behaves better in Turkey than when you come back home in Nigeria. You know, let me give you a situation. What has really happened here? There are Nigerians over here that possibly it's not like you really like where you are, or you can't just go home. The question is why? Why? There are Nigerians that prefer to go to prison here and stay there until whenever they are released. Because over here, if you are, for instance, here in Turkey, for instance, those Nigerians or foreigners who does not have resident permits, you can be arrested and you can be deported back to your country. But there are institutions whereby you are arrested and they will keep you in a place. Then you will, if you don't like where you are, you can just tell them, you can tell the police that take me home, let me go back home. But you know there are Nigerians that would prefer to pass through those suffering than going back home. The question is, why is it so? These are the things, these are the challenges, and these are the things that the youths, and both including the youths, the adults, have looked into and said, we need a change, we need a new Nigeria. We need a new Nigeria, and this we try to see in this 25th election, where the INEC, where Nigerians came out in mass, exercised their franchise with hope for having a new Nigeria, with the belief to arose and awaken that spirit of patriotism, the love for a country. I bet you, if you take a census or if you make a research or in Nigeria, I bet you can't get up to 70% of Nigerians who say they repeat themselves say, I'm proud to be a Nigerian. Even here,
that reminds me of a statement by Mr. Peter Obi, one of the contenders, presidential, just concluded, the presidential election that took place 25th of February. He said, we have Nigeria, but we do not have Nigerians. And that hit me really hard. But you are also trying to differ a bit from what Adebayo and Benjamin are saying, that we Nigerians need to show ourselves to be better than we are showing ourselves. You're saying the buck stops at the doorsteps of the leaders. But I think both points are important, because the government is the people are the government. The presidents that we have, they are people from, they come out of us. They are one of us. We're not going to bring foreigners to come here and make Nigeria work. Those who were used to, in quote, rig the elections are Nigerians. But again, there is a saying that if we have a head that is good, then the body would follow suit. Adebayo, let me go back to you.
Yes, I was actually waiting to hear Benjamin and Ikena take up something you had highlighted, Maureen, which is the significance of the Nigerian diaspora. $25 billion remitted annually to Nigeria through verified means of forex back home, that is through banks or Western Union or any of those authorized channels. This data does not capture monies that are sent, maybe $200 given to somebody, when you get home, give it to my mom, or $400, just talking of what comes in through verifiable channels. This is more than the foreign direct investment that goes to any African country. You go and check it. What Nigerians abroad send home. But now, in addition to the question you were asking, Maureen, as to what Nigerians abroad, could propose to see or to invest at home, I think the question should also arise as to whether these Nigerians abroad ought not to be allowed to vote. If you're sending $25 billion annually to Nigeria, that tells you the strength of the Nigerian diaspora. And why is that Nigerian diaspora not involved in decision-making through elections, for instance? I think it would be interesting to hear what Benjamin and Ikena have to say. What would the diaspora do? What do they need to do to make sure that they are allowed to vote? Because they are Nigerians, and they are sustaining the economy.
Yeah.
Okay, I think you've made a very, very, very important point, and I want to thank you for that. The diaspora voting, it's so key, but we also have to note something. We understand the bureaucratic bottlenecks that we have in Nigeria, because everybody wants control. And I think that is what the government is still resisting, but I don't think that should last for long. It is very important, because when we say, like the figure you gave, $25 billion US annually, my question is, that money is for what? Most of the times, I remember before coming up now, maybe I put on my phone and saying, I get tons, or sometimes as much as 300 requests to send money home legally. For what? To pay house rent, to pay school fees. So the money means nothing if the money is sent home for consumption. Because this is what I tell my friends back home. When they say, oh, please send me $1,000, send me $500, send me $200. I say, okay, what am I sending the money home for? And most times, like, my children are hungry. There was one that really made me cry, and I almost blocked my friend. He called me, put it on video, and turned the video to his family, his wife and kids weeping. And I'm like, to what end? You want to make a devil out of me? You don't do that. And the reason I'm saying that is this. I said that to say this. When we keep sending money, I said, okay, if I give you this money and you eat today, are you guaranteeing me you won't be hungry tomorrow? So we need to address the fundamental issues. And we're saying if we can be made stakeholders, then we can now say, if we're sending money home, we're sending money home towards this purpose, then the government can now say, oh, there is this platform whereby the Nigerians in diaspora can invest in A, B, and C, which will create value, ultimately create job opportunities. And by so that's why I talk about MAGA. Then we feel to talk about Facebook owned by Zuckerberg, amongst other businesses here. They are private sector driven, but they also understand. And do you know also that most of the things here in America, interestingly, they have because of cost effectiveness. That's why China has so much hold on America today, because most of the companies are situated in China, because everything is about maximizing profit. And until you give people a level playing field, you cannot get the best out of it. So my priority then becomes, oh, let me just ensure my family is not hungry. I send money home. But the nation is sick. And if the nation is sick, then the government must come out with policies which, like my brother rightly mentioned, give the Nigerians in diaspora the opportunity to also to know that they are stakeholders. And as stakeholders, then you can make demands. And when you make demands, we have a sense of responsibility to know this is our role, and then we can play it. You are just still channeling the same energy, but you are channeling it now to become more effective and to create more value.
Well, as it stands today, there is no provision in the Nigerian constitution that allows diasporas to vote. I remember I interviewed Festus Okoye, one of INEC's commissioners, and I threw that question at him. Can't policies be made to allow Nigerians living abroad to be able to vote from abroad? But he did say that there is yet no provision for that. And I do understand that some people actually went to court last year seeking to be allowed to vote from abroad. But that case, they lost that case. So let's move on now. As we head to the governorship elections, what is expected of INEC? What is expected of INEC? The battlefield has moved to the states. All the contestants, the major contestants, talking about the APC, the PDP, and the Labour Party, they won 12 states. APC won 12 states, PDP won 12 states, Labour Party won 11 plus the FCT, making it 12 states. What is expected of INEC? And what do you expect? How do you expect that these other parties up their games? Because the battle is still on, right?
Yes, I think for me, for INEC, they are to die straight. You now need to prove to Nigerians that every glitch, though, in every election we all have new terminologies without explanation. So this so-called glitch that they've experienced in the first, INEC must guarantee and reassure Nigerians that it won't happen again, because the governorship, the gubernatorial election will now show Nigerians if indeed the will of the people was trampled upon or not. So I'm expecting a freer and a fairer election, whereby people are not harassed. People are not. You see, even now we've seen, like in the governorship run up to the governorship election in Lagos State, we've seen people saying, "Oh, don't vote for IPOB. The Labour Party candidate is IPOB," and all of that and all of that. So all that is fine, but on the election day, nobody should be intimidated. Nobody should be harassed. No ballot boxes should be snatched. So that the will of the people, because INEC needs to begin to bring back the confidence of the people, because I think right now there's absolutely, from where we are over here, there is absolutely no confidence, no vote of confidence in INEC at all. So INEC needs to redeem itself, I think, and this election should provide them the opportunity to do just that.
Ikenna, what do you expect of voters? Already we hear some Nigerians that say they're not going to come out to vote. We also heard some have said they would destroy their PVC. What do you expect of Nigerians coming as we approach the governorship election?
Well, it's simple. It's simple. For me, I think Professor Mahmoud Yakubu has the ample opportunity to prove himself, not just proving himself, to prove himself to be a man of reputed and person and with integrity. You know, it takes nothing for you to do the right thing. If the INEC should adhere to what they told the Nigerians, even if Yakubu should adhere to what he told us at Chalant House at the United Kingdom, it's very simple. Mm-hmm. Chatham House, the beavers, the way it was explained, after the accreditation, after whatsoever, you transmit it immediately in each polling unit. It's very simple. So there's no big deal. There's no much thing to say, because it is clear. You can't tell Nigerians that they gave you money. You budgeted for over 300 billion plus, if I'm not mistaken, to carry out a project. And after everything, you started one in Anambra State. You started one in I think is it Osun State, right? Osun. Yes. Then after then, at the main events, you are not telling us that in some part of the state the beavers didn't work, and you know already it's according to the acts, the next guidelines, where a place where the beaver does not work, definitely there's no election. You know, what motivated the people to come out to vote is that beaver system, which says after registration, after election and the rest of them, it will be transmitted immediately. They will be bias free. If I lose, I lose. If I win, I win. There's no need to going to court and stuff like that. And this is the challenge we are facing. So what I need to do to encourage people to come out, even if like for me, even if I'm in Nigeria, definitely I don't think I'm already discouraged. Even right now I'm talking to you, I'm in pains because I love my country. I love Nigeria. So okay, what I should do right now is to ensure that what he promised Nigerians, he should make sure it happened. Make sure they do it the way they promised Nigerians. They should ensure that, just like they told us that the beavers, after accreditation, after the voting, instantly it will be transmitted. We don't want to hear the issues of a network code. I had the situation. We had a situation whereby the INEC official said he'll go to the ballet's house to upload it. Some said they'll go to the police station to upload it, and so many things like that. Nigerians are not children. Yeah,
no doubt. So many things played out as captured in videos, and this is the internet age. It's not like it used to be back then when we didn't have the internet. So those who contested under different parties have said that they're going to go to court to contest the results. And they've also asked for calm on the part of their supporters. So we just have to trust that they're going to do as they have said, go to the court, present all the evidence, and get justice. Of course, there's also been called to the judiciary to ensure that justice is done and seen to be done. All right, Adebayo, what do you expect to see of those who are contesting for governorship election?
Well, the first challenge they have, and as has been alluded to already by Ken and Benjamin, the first challenge they have is to make sure they mobilize people to come out. The elections are not over. And if people, I also feel, somehow about this election. I'm not happy simply because I think we are better than the way we came out. This country is far better than that. The Nigerians excelling everywhere. And when things like this happen at home, it totally, demarcates us as a country and casts us in bad light. So the governorship election is an opportunity to correct some of those things. And the candidates have a big responsibility to mobilize people, really, really convince people. I know people are angry, many people are sad, but they need to come out. This is not the time to give up. So the governorship candidates have that responsibility too. I expect the governorship candidates to insist on the use of the beavers. The problem is that if the system doesn't run the way it should run, and it benefits one side, and the side that it benefited decides to keep quiet, the next time it may be that side that will be on the wrong side, that will have the show on the wrong side. It's in the interest of all the political parties for the system to work. And then, of course, the question of security.
Yes, I have to interrupt you. Sorry, I have to interrupt you here, Adebayo, because we need to take a break and take the news at 12. But before we go, I'd like to thank Benjamin Kwentua, who has joined us from New York, and Ikenna Ernest Okelue, who joined us from Turkey. Gentlemen, your inputs are priceless. We thank you so much and hope we can do this again next time, because the elections are far from over. We'll have to keep analyzing, assessing, and watching. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
All right, so you're still watching the run-up, and we'll be back after this short break. Stay with us.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. From the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
ẹgbẹ́ ilé tí mo ṣe mechanic wà ń bẹ̀ bó ṣe máa ń tú bó ṣe máa ń ṣe mo ohun mi mo ṣe decide pé okay nǹkan tí man ń ṣe yìí màá try láti máa ṣe mo explain fọ́gá mi pé this is what I want to do pé ẹ jọ̀ọ́ ẹ máa fún mi láyè pé tó bá ti di ìrọ̀lẹ́ màá máa lọ sí school Federal College fún theory for theoretical aspect so màá lè máa ṣe practical níta ọ̀gá mi dẹ̀ allow mi so tí n bá ti kó níbi iṣẹ́ ní nǹkan bíi 4 so màá lọ sí school so àǹfààní yẹn mo rí pé ó really help mi gan pé àti bí mo ṣe máa approach customer and sin ó máa yàtọ̀ sí bí mo ṣe wà lọ́dọ̀ ọ̀gá mi báwọn ọ̀gá mi ṣe approach customer bí mo ṣe máa approach one sin there is a difference and the way mo ṣe máa handle iṣẹ́ ìyàtọ̀ wà ń bẹ̀ náà fún àwọn tó máa sọ pé tíyẹn bá ti kàwé pé kò lè dèèyàn tíyẹn bá ti kàwé yẹn kì í ṣe excuse pé èèyàn ò lè make ẹ̀ ẹni tí ó kàwé yẹn ó kù sí ohun gangan fúnra ẹ̀ lọ́wọ́ láti make up mind ẹ̀ tíyẹn bá ti kàwé sí yẹn pé kò lè jẹ́ èèyàn kò lè ṣe nǹkan no it's not like that.
I see this work as my ladder of progress. I see it as something that if I am serious about it, I'm going to make it in life. I am very proud of this work because it's a work of an idea. It's an idea work. It's a work that you can boast of maybe when you fix a car and it's work fine. You are good to go. I see it as a very fantastic job. In the nearest future, I want to be a very great man and how to mingle with people. I like music. I want to be a musician, but at least I need something like handwork to help me, and at the same time I want to have my own mechanical company that I will be in charge, and that's all. My very advice for those that are not in school, go and sit down and think of the kind of vocational work that you can learn that you will gain from. So they have to sit down, think of what to do. If you can't learn handwork, go for something creative, that create something and sell out, do business and make money. Before you know, you make it in life instead of roaming around with friends or wasting your time.
Businesses in Africa can be very challenging. In Nigeria, it is particularly intimidating.
Hello, good afternoon. I am Kimberly Obiabo. This is the news update. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Atiku Abubakar, led all the party stalwarts in a protest against controversial results from the presidential poll. Atiku said the party would continue its protest on a daily basis for a long time. The protesters marched to the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
And we have the right to protest under the Constitution. It doesn't stop us from going to court, the fact that we are protesting.
We've been raped. Nigeria has been raped. There was an election which turned to selection. The INEC and the APC decided to select who they wanted. That was not an election. That is why we're here today, to give a petition, to give the mandate back to Atiku Abubakar, because he's the rightful person that won this.
We came here today in company of our teaming comrades to submit our petition to INEC because the elections of the 25th of February we feel were not credible. We feel those elections were tampered with.
The candidate of our party, the People's Democratic Party, he represents millions of Nigerians who wish for a better governance, who pray for a nation where equal opportunities will be open to everyone, a nation where the people will be happy to enjoy governance through restructuring. All of the things that we sold in our campaign, they believed it, they accepted it, they assimilated it, and they came out en masse and in millions to vote. And unfortunately, even though we have on the evidence of the resource sheets, a duplicate copy of all the resource sheet given to our agent at the polling unit, Yet, if you see the INEC National Coalition, you would see where they would tabulate numbers, and when you come down to the total, different. You will see places where the names of individuals from different parts of the country. You will see where they will say there's a biometric taken on somebody, and yet the background of the biometric picture is somebody who snapped at the comfort of his house. You will see where they sow the stronghold of PDP, and they create violence so that people will not come out to vote. These are some of the problems that has now informed our decision to come here and to tell the world democracy is under threat.
Meanwhile, INEC has promised to address the grievances of the PDP regarding the outcome of the presidential election. INEC National Commissioner for Information Festus Okoye spoke when he addressed members of the PDP who protested at the Commission's headquarters.
We present this protest letter. Independent National Electoral Commission is directed to the chairman attention of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. We do not accept the charade of what has been presented to Nigerian people as an election in which somebody was declared, and therefore we call on INEC not only to cancel the election, but do the needful and conduct a very credible election that will be respected not only by Nigerians, but the whole international community. Thank you and God bless you. Who am I presenting you to?
I've received this particular protest letter on behalf of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission. And I promise you that this letter will be transmitted to him immediately. If there are remedial issues to be dealt with, we are going to deal with those remedial issues. But I want to assure you that this commission is a listening commission. This commission is a public trust, and this commission belongs to the Nigerian people. Our allegiance is to the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This commission does not have allegiance to any political party. We don't have any allegiance to any candidate. Our allegiance is to the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I want to thank all of you for the peaceful way this protest has been conducted. The commission belongs to the Nigerian people, and whatever grievances there are, we will look into all those grievances. If there are grievances that can be redressed, we will redress those grievances. But I want to plead that all of us should continue to be peaceful, all of us should continue to respect the integrity of the Commission and also the integrity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But I want to most sincerely thank all of you for the peaceful way this protest has been conducted. I'm going to go and hand over this protest letter to the chairman of the Commission, and I want to assure you that the Commission will meet over this letter, look into it, and address some of the issues that have arisen as a result of the particular letter.
Now, the Inspector General of Police, IGP Usman Alkali Baba, has lauded the Commissioner of Police in Lagos State, Ido Ohunwa, for ensuring the maintenance of law and order in the aftermath of the recent presidential and National Assembly elections. Baba, however, ordered the Commissioners of Police of other states and the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, to replicate the security structure put in place in Lagos ahead of Saturday's governorship and state legislature polls. Baba further stated that a total of 203 offenders of about 185 major incidents linked to various electoral offences and sundry crimes have so far been arrested.
In this regard, of about 185 major incidents that the police responded to across the country during the election, a total of 203 offenders linked to various electoral processes or offences and sundry crimes have so far been arrested, while not less than 18 firearms of various descriptions were recovered from political talks during the exercise. All these cases are at various stages of investigation at the Nigeria Police Electoral Offensive Desk, and I assure you all that in due course they will all be concluded and processed to the legal department of the Independent National Electoral Commission for possible prosecution. While the Presidential and National Assembly election might have presented varying degrees of challenges as captured in the post-election operations feedback that have been received across the various police commands, I am delighted to know with a high level of satisfaction the resilience and the utmost professionalism which you all displayed in the goals of the Rehabilitating Security Affairs Conference is to draw on our rich and diverse professional experiences in perfecting our action plan for the forthcoming governorship and State House of Assembly elections on 11th of March 2023, and guaranteeing a stable internal security order ahead of the electoral exercise across the country.
The governorship candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, APGA, in Ebonyi State, Bernard Odo, has denied knowledge of the murder of the traditional ruler of Umueze Koha community, Eze Ubo Igokwe Ewa. In a statement on Tuesday, the governorship candidate said allegations of complicity against him were malicious, baseless, and should be disregarded. He added that he has secured an order from an Owerri High Court restraining the police or other agents from arresting or harassing him following the assassination of Ewa on February 26 by gunmen. The Ebonyi State Police Command declared Odo and 9 other persons wanted on Monday. Until his gruesome murder, the victim was the chairman of Eza Traditional Rulers in Eza North local government area of Ebonyi. To other parts of Africa, in Burkina Faso, a curfew has been introduced throughout the country's northern region and 2 other provinces to combat jihadist attacks in the Sahel region. The Secretary General of the Governorate of the Northern Region, Kuga Albert Zongo, announced this in a statement that a curfew from 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. is introduced throughout the region from Friday 3rd March to Friday 31st March, while urging the people to strictly respect the decision by staying at home at the times and dates indicated. Burkina Faso has taken up the fight against jihadist violence head-on, particularly after demanding the departure of French troops from Operation Zebe, which have been present in the West African country since 2009 without any success. Outside Africa, China's Foreign Minister Wang Yi on Tuesday blamed the United States for rising tensions between Washington and Beijing and said if the U.S. does not change its part, there will be conflict and confrontation. The U.S. has been engaged in suppression and containment of China rather than fear or rule-based competition, Foreign Minister King Jiang told reporters at a news conference in Beijing on the sidelines of an annual parliament meeting. Relations between the two countries have been tense for years over a number of issues, including Taiwan, trade, and Ukraine, but they worsened after controversy involving a balloon which the U.S. said was a Chinese spying device and shot down last month. In business news, Naira on Monday exchanged at 461.33 Naira to $1 at the investors and exporters window. The rate represented an increase of 0.09% compared to the 461.75 Naira for which it exchanged to the dollar before the close of business on Friday. An exchange rate of 462.31 Naira to the dollar was the highest rate recorded within the day's trading before it settled at 461.33 Naira. A total of $108 million was traded at the official investors and exporters window. In sports news, Paris Musée Gravin unveiled a wax statue of French soccer star Antoine Griezmann on Monday. The Atletico Madrid forward became the 3rd French soccer player to have a statue in the museum after Kylian Mbappe and Zinedine Zidane. The 2018 World Cup winners' wax double will remain on display alongside statues of Mbappe, Zidane, Pele, Lionel Messi, Cristiano Ronaldo, and Zlatan Ibrahimovic. That's the news update. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Kimberly Obiabo. Many thanks for watching. Have a good afternoon.
It for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Bookie November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Welcome back. You're still watching the run-up on Plus TV Africa. I am Maureen, and we still have our guests who joined us from different parts of the world. Benjamin Quentua joined us from New York, and Okelua Ikenna Ernest joined us from Turkey. Gentlemen, glad to still have you there.
Thank you.
My co-host, Adebayo Olowake, is still there with us. Hello, Adebayo.
Hi, Maureen.
Okay, so
it's
before...
been quite interesting. So we look forward to the second half of the discussion.
Yes, and you know, I had to ask you to just hold your thought there before we went on that break. You were saying something interesting about what we expect of the governors as we go to the polls again 11th of this month. What should they be doing? How should they be dotting the I's and crossing the T's?
Yes, the next point that I was about to make before we took the break for the news is a question of security. Yeah. We need to look at, the governors need to argue for effective security. We have been talking about the inadequacy of our policing system. And I remember on Plus TV several times I have had cause to raise this issue, but people were not taking it seriously. And we saw that during these elections. We don't have enough police officers in this country. And this issue is not being addressed. Let's even keep the question of state police aside. I know Nigeria will eventually adopt state police very soon. But at the moment, we have a federal police and they are inadequate. And everybody saw that during the elections. The governors need to argue for effective deployment of police officers, for these police officers who have been deployed to be properly briefed about what they're supposed to be doing at the polling stations, you know, and then to make sure that the polling environment is conducive for people. And then, of course, the last point for me is that the governors need to also encourage their supporters to know that this is not a do or die, you know. As Benjamin and Ikenna said at the top of the program, if we're all going to these elections, if the ground rules are clear, if the ground rules are followed, a winner emerges, somebody loses, they should concede as long as the provisions of the law have been followed. The reason now why we are going to have a spate of litigations is simply because some aspects of the electoral law were not followed. So there are so many court cases coming up for the presidential election. Imagine what happens if the rules are still not followed for the governorship election. Imagine how many court cases you are going to have. We need to move away from all this issue of court cases. But if the rules are not being followed, definitely people are going to go to court. And so the governors need to make sure that all of these ground rules are clear. They need to hold meetings with INEC. They need to get a definitive assurance from INEC one more time that these rules are going to be followed.
You know, you're right. We spoke with Adediro, that's the governorship candidate of the PDP, aka Jandor, yesterday with regards to this forthcoming governorship elections. And he's saying that they are ready and they are going to match them wheat for wheat, whatever it takes, because they were taken obviously unawares during the February 25th elections. And so they are much more prepared this time. And also the Labour Party governorship candidate did give a press release, I think 2 days ago, and he alluded to the fact that they are also making alternative, that's private arrangements, security-wise, for the governorship election. So what you said is quite true. They need to ensure that security is fixed, because we saw all that played out. We wouldn't want a situation where Nigerians will refuse to come out this time because of fear for their lives. Wouldn't want that.
Absolutely not. And it's the basic minimum that has to be followed, our two guests actually made a very, very important statement earlier. If the agencies of the state had requested for budgetary provisions to execute a project and the monies they asked for were provided, they just have to comply. Not complying after you've received the money, after you've received the facilities and everything, and not complying, and then throwing, allowing gaps, ridiculous gaps in the system that was exploited by people. We need to begin to live up to our reputation. And those who want to govern us as governors, they need to begin to show us now that they can actually get those state instruments, authorities, to comply and perform their statutory roles.
But isn't it shocking that up to now we're still having these discussions about state police? Because it's no longer news. We know that we do not have enough of them around to govern the population that we have in this country. But let me go to Benjamin and Ernest to find out what is the situation, the security situation where you are compared to what we have here.
Okay, very interesting, because I will give you an example of what happened to me here in Turkey. For instance, here in Turkey, I move freely without fear, or threats, because the security here, in fact, I think Turkey is one of the first 10 most secure countries in the world, actually. The security here is very simple. Unlike in Nigeria, where you see police everywhere, every checkpoint, you see police at every checkpoint. Not just that they are even securing, but what they are actually doing, they are escorting those they are meant to protect. Here, for example, here in Turkey, every street has CCTV cameras everywhere. Every markets here, because I'm into business also here. I'm into business, so I move around all kinds of markets here in Turkey. But there is a law that even every shop, as little as that shop here in Turkey, you must see a CCTV camera. Therefore, it also helps to checkmate and making the work of the police very, very easy and less for them. Now, in that compared to Nigeria, where you cannot even, let's just talk about what happened during this 25th election, where you saw a police, not impersonation, but a police with police uniform, with a police van, snatching ballot votes. Okay, we also saw a situation whereby you were a thug in front of the police addressing and threatening the citizenry of who to vote, and if you don't vote for them, you face certain consequences. Now, how can you now trust that police? How can you not trust the security of that kind of country? For example, let me also go back to what happened in 2020, where the youths at the toll gate were shot, even with the flag of Nigeria. It's heartbreaking. Do you know in Turkey, even if I don't have my ID, I don't have my passport, I'm illegal here, but do you know, just simply that I'm holding a Turkish flag or putting on a Turkish emblem or a vest, walking boldly in the streets, it covers me, it gives me a kind of a guarantee. I believe as I'm talking to you, I don't need to move.
No, that may not be necessary. But let me just act as an advocate for the police here a bit. Not every one of them out there extort money. I've met lovely police people. But as the police PRO will tell you, there are some bad eggs in every organization. There are really some good cops out there. There's no doubt about that. But the thing he was saying is that we do need more of the good cops to secure the lives of Nigerians. Clarence. Benjamin, do you have anything to add in terms of security? I mean, with regards to security.
Yeah, thank you very much. What I would say is, the first thing I'll tell you is the police is the police everywhere in the world. Mm-hmm. Everywhere in the world, police is. It's like there is, in my own words, a peculiar demon that follows that name, police. Because here in America, as effective as the police is, the truth is that we have our own challenges. We have our own problems. The Black Lives Matters, we all know how that happened. So I cannot come and make it look like the police here are angels and the ones in Nigeria are demons.
Because that wouldn't be correct.
So, yeah, that would also be totally incorrect. So the police is the police everywhere. But however, my own is I'm an advocate of a level playing field. What the government did is, whether the police is a good cop or a bad cop, as simple as wearing a body cam, which you saw an oath noted. In fact, if you tamper with it, it means that you are guilty as an officer. So there are little things that we can, introduce, which makes investigation a lot easier. If a policeman says you did this and you say you didn't do it, there's no argument. All they need to do is the commission takes the body cam and they look at it. So, and the investigations are not, that's why everybody, as long as the incident is raised or reported, anybody culpable will be made to face the wrath of the law. And also, the law here is a leveler. So we need to also empower the police to know that the law is a leveler. You are not going to escape simply because you are wearing the uniform. It doesn't exempt you from, being held accountable to the office you have sworn an oath, to uphold. So that is also, very important. Obviously, in Nigeria, we don't have enough police. However, my question is, why do you need more police when the few that we have are still old salaries? Because if you don't take care of the ones you have, what is the guarantee? What is the motivation? Anybody who wants to join the police now says, okay, you know what, something when I was almost 20 years ago now, when I was in Nigeria, I had this neighbor, who was a policeman. And he just came home and the wife said, oh, there's no food, the children are hungry and everything. And interestingly, we were just there overhearing it. And then he said, okay, give me a few minutes. And he dressed up and he went out. And in a few hours, he was back with a lot of money. Obviously, he's going to do the wrong thing, probably an illegal checkpoint and all of that. But you also agree with me that even it's almost like if you look at the Lagos-Benin, express. Yes, we talk about the legal police checkpoints and all of that, but taking the police also totally out of that highway has also increased insecurity. So we just need to find the balance. And that's why I said the government must provide the right enabling environment upon which every party can thrive. And that is so vitally important. And when we talk about the global election that is coming, everybody must know that nobody is above the law. Nobody is above the law. I think one of the greatest mistakes of the present sitting government in Nigeria is that they dead the youths, forgetting that, they call themselves the Sorosoke generation. You can't, these people they are so technologically savvy that everything, they have all the all the evidence the government is asking for, it's in everybody's hand. And it's not there, and they're putting it out there in the public space.
Yeah.
So
And I
you
guess,
cannot-
and that's probably one of the reasons the youth are very, very angry, because they are technologically savvy and they know what could have gone wrong with the system. And it is about the system, really, gentlemen. That is what it's about, the process, a process that can be relied upon, a system that works for all. It's not about any party. It's not about any individual. It's about the nation. Having a system, and which is why most people are living abroad. Most Nigerians, if you speak to them, they will say they're not living abroad because they prefer it over there, but because the system works and makes it easy for them to prosper. And so that is the yearnings of most Nigerians, to make Nigeria work, put in place systems that can enable prosperity. Your final words, gentlemen, before we go, just one minute each. I've been told to wrap up. Benjamin, I'll end with you. I'll start with you.
Okay, my final words is, please, we are first Nigerians. And because we are Nigerians, we can be called a country. We need to take back our country. We need to stand for what is right. And the answer and the solution for me is understanding that our life is our responsibility. It is a vehicle that requires that we take the driver's seat.
Ernest.
So let us
Thank you, Benjamin. Ernest.
It's simple. We need a new Nigeria. We need a working institution. We need a country that we can hold on and say, this is my country. This is my country. I am proud to be in Nigeria. And also, we need our judiciary, which is the last hope of the common man, to prove to us that we are actually the last hope of the common man.
Thank you. I think that's a good place to wrap it up, Ernest. And Adebayo, my co-host, virtual co-host, your final word before we wrap up.
The system worked in Kenya. They had something similar to Beavers. And when the opposition appealed, the case didn't even take 1 day. It was dismissed because the evidence was there. And there was no argument after that. Let us all contribute to make the system work.
Let us all contribute to make the system work. Many thanks to you, gentlemen, for this discussion. It became necessary because I'm very much aware that many Nigerians came from abroad for this election. So I know that you are very invested in the country and you're very concerned about what's going on. Benjamin Quentua joined us from New York, and Okelua Ikenna Ernest joined us from Turkey. Thank you so much. My co-host has been Adebayo Olowake. It's been the run-up on Plus TV Africa. I am Maureen Menongwe. Join us again on Monday. Bye-bye.
Hello and welcome to What Are You Saying? #Ways, where we talk about topics in the news as it affects us all. I am Usayomi Sally, and today I have Chinelo with me and Jenny. Hello, ladies.
Hi.
Looking all gorgeous.
Thank you.
Looking fresh. What's happening? Tell me. How was the weekend? How are you planning the week? What's happening?
Well, for me, I'm looking towards the election on Saturday, so yeah. Last week I rested a lot. I don't know, my voice has refused to. After that presidential, my voice has refused to go back to normal. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Saturday again. We go again on Saturday.
Wow. I don't know whether a lot of people are looking forward to Saturday because a lot of people, some of them have been demoralized based on what had happened with the presidential elections. I'm really hoping people turn out the way they came out for the presidential elections, right?
Yeah.
Again, because that would just further give confidence and hope that yes, people are now really, really ready for whatever transformation it is that they're looking for. But Jennifer, how are you?
I'm okay.
It was good.
I'm doing good. I mean, I have projects that I'm working on, like design projects that I'm working on because I'm taking a course. But I think this time around, this weekend, I told myself I was going to rest a lot because weekdays I don't get to rest. So I rested well. Even my chest was hitting me. Go and walk, go and do. I said, today I will rest and I will sleep. And I slept. I feel rested, and I'm excited about the week, and I'm looking forward to the election on Saturday. And I really hope that people actually come out. I mean, if we could not control anything during the presidential election, maybe we might have a little bit of control over this because it's very important. Like, if you love your state, please, I beg you, come out to vote.
You have to actually come out to vote, right? And we're discussing the governorship race. And here's what we found as today's quote. We cannot be mere consumers of good governance. We must be participants. We must be co-creators. I mean, this is very apt.
Yes,
if you say you're looking for good governance, you must be participating in the process to which good governance is birthed. So for instance, joining political parties, running for offices, also what's it called? Getting your PVCs and voting, actually coming out to vote. I mean, those are all part of the process of, good governance, right? So not just being consumers, you must also be part of the people that produce good governance, right? All right, so a shift has occurred in the minds of Nigerian youth, especially Nigerian youth who are now actively participating in politics while leveraging technology. Now, with the gubernatorial election just days away, the Labour Party governorship candidate, Gbadebo Rhodes-Vivour, will be here, hopefully, to discuss the Lagos gubernatorial race. But first, let's take a break. When we come back from the break, we want to see what we found in the news.
It is engagement we need to have.
Those who suffer miscarriages are never taken into account.
Members of the National Assembly are also influence peddlers.
You are sitting on Nigerians' money.
From the barbing, I pay my rent. On the barbing, I send my children to school.
A consultative engagement.
No any tangible notification before they ban us.
It's one thing for people to be at your back and the heat of the moment, and another thing for them to still be with you when push comes to shove.
You are still watching Ways Now. Happy Independence Day, Ghana. On this day in 1957, Ghana declared its freedom from colonial rule and became the first independent country in sub-Saharan Africa. March 6th is a national and public holiday where traditionally many businesses close so citizens can attend parades, marches, and carnivals in Ghana. So, I mean, Charlie. This is one place that I really wish I want to go to. I mean, so I'm hoping maybe this month I'll visit Ghana. I've never been to Ghana.
Really?
I'm telling you.
Oh, you should.
I've never been to Ghana.
Place, very nice.
The only African countries I've been to is Benin. I've been to, what's it called, Libreville, that's in Gabon, and I've been to Kenya. But Ghana, I don't know, for some strange reason, it's just behind the corner here. And my kids have been there. They're always bragging, yes, we've been somewhere that you have not been.
Ghana is just like
Beautiful place,
Nigeria.
actually.
It's just
Better
like Nigeria.
than
Better than
Nigeria,
Nigeria. I
my
mean, with
sister.
less traffic. At least when I went there, food was very affordable. The size portion as well. I love food.
Massive.
What? I love food. I can remember when I went to Ghana. If you convert how much I bought chicken, chicken plus jollof rice and coleslaw. The portion was big enough to actually feed 2 people. So you know these tiny wings that they give us in Lagos restaurants.
Chicken wings.
Full chicken wings, full hand. They gave me 8 pieces. I was like, wait, is this my food? They said, yes. I was so excited. Like, it was so good. And they make like the food is nice. The people are nice as well. It's a very nice environment, honestly.
They're actually very accommodating, and
Yeah.
their resorts are actually very beautiful as well. So yeah, it's one place. Accra is one place you should visit. You should go.
I should,
One of
right?
those days, Yes.
Okay, so we should visit.
should
So
plan
who? Right. Okay, we should plan it. I actually need to visit it because I've heard so many good things about Ghana and I really want to go there. All right, so what did we find in the news? Let me start with you, Jennifer.
Okay, so for me, there's a comment from Huawei, the Chinese company. No plan to sue federal government over e-customs projects. So basically, there was a news out there that was talking about the e-customs project not being completed, but the PR manager of Huawei Nigeria came out and said that that Huawei still continues to support the project with technical expertise to improve digitalization of customs process in Nigeria. So they're still on the road to technology development in Nigeria. So we should ignore the news and what people are saying.
Is there an underground gist for this one?
I reserve my comments.
I
plead the fifth on this one. And you know why?
I know why, my darling. But I'm just saying that there's a lot going on, you know, companies. I mean, the one that Diola sent yesterday.
That one
We haven't heard anything to confirm if that's true. Nobody has said anything.
Right? So we'll still
We're
we're waiting.
Yeah.
Because I have a lot of things to say about all these companies.
Patient.
All right, so Chinelo, what did you find?
Okay, this one is from the police in Rivers State particularly, and they're protesting about their allowance. They're saying we're losing morale for governorship election. So some policemen that provided security in the last week's presidential and national assembly elections have stated that they are yet to be paid their allowances. And some of the officers who spoke in Port Harcourt on condition of anonymity said the development would affect them. They said they would not have the morale to go for the governorship and state assembly's election if they are not paid before Saturday. So one of them said, and it's quoted here, that they told us that constables will be paid 35,000 naira. Inspectors are supposed to get 100,000 naira and above. We're very angry after the election that we're yet to get our money. The one we have worked for has not been paid for. And this Saturday, they want us to go for another election. And we know what this means if the police in Rivers State says they're not going to come out on Saturday. It's quite a dangerous
I
one.
beg you, they were there now. Were they not there when some things were happening in some of the police?
Imagine that they were there and then that happened. Imagine that they are not there at all.
See, listen, if they're not there, we go there prepared. Because
So whether they were there or not, it still felt like they weren't there.
Because it seemed, there were loads of allegations against the police. I'm sorry to say, but there were loads of allegations against the police saying that it's almost like they were aiding and abetting, the entire rigging process and violence, right? So, I mean, so it's not just enough. And I don't like the idea of everything has to be about money. Right? There's something called service, right? Everything doesn't have to be about money. I don't know when people say, they've not paid me, so I'll not get up, I'll not work, I'll not do this. There are some people that will do it for free. Just give them the weapon.
They'll actually do it. Yes.
That's what
because this thing is about, it's service to your country, service to humanity. It comes first before anything called money and all of that. So every time you keep threatening people, if we've not been paid, so we'll not do the job. The one that you were there, what did you do?
What did you do? It's so crazy that we don't feel your impact. On a normal day, election aside, we don't feel your impact. And during the election, we still did not feel your impact. So there's no excuse. Anything you want to say doesn't exactly hold water, to be honest. But I hope for their sake they get paid.
I hope so. So my story is actually quite interesting. All right. is it? Let me find the
septuagenarian.
When I saw this story, I was first of all very scared, and I said, "What have we turned to as a people?" It says, so the domestic workers and others, they cut the septuagenarian's genitals. So according to the report, that the domestic worker, her name is Onyebuchi Eze, alongside 2 other fleeing suspects, had allegedly used sharp objects to cut off some vital parts or vital organs, including the genitals of a 72-year-old woman in Umweze in Orumba North local government area of Anambra. Now, Punch had gathered that they went to her residence, right? And this particular, what's it called, domestic staff, led these 2 other people into the premises, right? The parts that they took from the woman, right, was her genitals, of course, her ears, her nipples, fingers, and amongst other things. I see, which kind of wahala be this one? So now, the juju now, before they will tell you that the ritual is for either newborn baby or virgin. Now an old woman that is vulnerable. Like, this is actually scary, because if this thing is a thing, then there's problem. Because how many old people will be able to defend themselves? How many? Do you understand? So this one, when I saw it, I said, what is this world turning into?
This is very scary.
Very scary.
Very scary. And sometimes when people's parents get very old, or when our parents get very old, because you're not there physically, you tend to pay for external help to care for you.
So that's the whole essence of even putting a living nanny and all of that to watch over your parent, right? So I'm just thinking now, should we, because again, there is a downside to adopting or adapting to the way the Western world, where they have old people's homes, right? Yeah. But even those old people's homes, there've been so many reports of how those nurses really deal with them there. But those ones, the complaint is that they get a lot more detached, they get a lot more depressed because they are not with family, right? But this one now, you hire a domestic staff, take care of my 72-year-old mother, and only for you to come back to find your mother that they had taken, removed all her genitals and parts of her body. That's actually scary.
That's very scary.
It's very scary. So I don't know what other alternative can work, in taking care of old people. I don't know, because I took care of my grandfather, right? But the good thing about my own grandfather was that my cousins were living in the same. So everybody. So Sha would, when I'm on holiday from university, I would go there, take care of him. Then at some point when he was really sick, I remember going home and, I saw him that day. It was quite emotional because he couldn't pass stool. So we held him, and my granddad is quite big. So we held him, not fat, but tall. He's huge. So we held him, and as he was trying to pass out stool, because my mom had told us what to prepare, black soup and all of that. And then when he eventually passed stool, so you could see tears, because at that time he had partial stroke, tears dropping down his eyes. And I remember what he told me many years before then, that for him to be a vegetable and become a burden to his family, he would rather just let God just take his life. So when I saw that tears, I just knew. By the time I go back to school, I had gotten the message that he had passed. But hey, these are things that, there's a connection with old people and, family members and all of that. So maybe I don't know how we're going to do it, but some people that have busy lives, what will you do? You can't do without having a domestic. So now it is the person that you put in charge to take care of your parent. This is really scary. Because if this is a trend now, waiting their baba, they tell them they go do. There's problem. Because there's a lot of old people that are being taken care of by domestic staff. So they are at risk and we need to protect them. All right, so let's take a break. When we come back from the break, hopefully we'll be able to have our guest join us in the conversation. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
For upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Booking November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
All right, thanks for staying with us. Now, the 2023 Lagos State gubernatorial election will take place on the 11th of March 2023 to elect the governor of Lagos State, concurrent with elections to the Lagos State House of Assembly, as well as 27 other gubernatorial elections and elections to all other state assemblies. Now, the election will be held this Saturday, 2 weeks after the presidential election and the National Assembly elections. Now, the incumbent APC governor, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, is eligible to run for re-elections and has been nominated or renominated by his party to be, the candidate. So who is your candidate for the Lagos State gubernatorial race? And do you think your candidate has a chance? Now, please, let's hear what you have to say. Remember, you can join the conversation. Send us an SMS or WhatsApp to 081-803-4663. So the reason I'm smiling is because these are really interesting times that we're in. So for the first time in a very long time, I'm really feeling like, okay, there's a breath of fresh air with the elections, especially the 2023 general election. From presidency, you could see freshness to the kinds of engagements and all of that. And this particular election is one that is very dear to my heart because Lagos State, Lagos State has the capacity, right, to be the Dubai of the world, right? It has the capacity, it has by every standard, because Lagos is one of the most industrial states. It gathers a lot of industrious people. I mean, people just feel like, when I come to Lagos, I'll make it. Because, when you put in the hard work, you see the results and all of that. And again, in Lagos, you can become a billionaire if you understand the tricks and I remember when my friend was living on the mainland, both of us were living on the mainland, right? And she used to say then that, I'm going to move to the island. I said, why? She said, the same thing that her and her friend will go to the UK and buy, and she will be selling it with peanuts and with bag on the mainland. That then, the friend would just call a tea party in Lekki. And before you say that, she sells it like 5 or 10 times the money, and they are scrambling for it, and she sold out. She has to now bring her goods. Even within Lagos, right? There's still different kinds of activities going on that just shows that yes, this is a boisterous economy, right? Yeah. So when the presidential elections happened and all of a sudden everybody was just and Labour Party was declared winner, all of a sudden I just noticed that our governor started posting different things.
Dear Lagosians,
every day sending us messages. But you see, it's good. It's good because I know particularly Governor Sanwo-Olu, for instance, had been invited to different debates and all of that. I don't think he did any.
No, he did not.
He never showed up in any of the debates and all of that because, again, I feel like politicians in Nigeria, and this is not just unique to Governor Sanwo-Olu, it's actually every governor. When they are running for a second term, they don't believe that they have to put in so much work. They just believe that the power of incumbency will cover them up. But for the first time, maybe because of the things that happened with the presidential election, Labour Party winning Lagos State, and again, Labour Party now having some kind of, architect, the new architect of Lagos and all of that, coming into the race. So it's almost like, because I know that Sanwo-Olu has been going everywhere, speaking to different people. He was at the estate where I voted. He's been going around different places and all of that. So I don't know. What's your take, first of all? The gubernatorial race. How is it doing you?
You see, right? I said I'm looking forward to Saturday, and it's not because I'm not afraid that again the magic will happen, but because I'm happy that somebody is giving them pressure. So the days of sitting down and crossing your legs and knowing that it's coming to me again is over. Like you rightly said, every day now we're saying, dear Lagosians, dear Lagosians. And I'm like, wow,
I'm feeling proud that
you have so much to say to us. I didn't know that. So it's like I said, it's interesting to see. I call this phase that we're going to do Niger Chronicles. So this is like episode what now that we're in of season. This is season 3, maybe. But yeah, I'm just excited that somebody is putting him on it. He's now putting up pictures with iron jeans and things like that. He's good so that you can understand that these things. See, we're done with all that. I love Sanwo-Olu as a matter of fact, but you see, something happened that just puts me off. And I actually expected so much. He's my birthday mate, by the way. So I was like, this guy, you can't do better than this now. What's going on? And his silence sometimes just kills me. When you expect him to say some things, he'll just go quiet on you. I remember when he was going to come into power in, that was 2019 elections. Oh my days, the promises that we had, and this is 4 years later, and I'm asking myself, what happened? What changed? What went wrong? Today somebody told me, there was COVID. I'm like, don't make those kind of excuses. COVID came, we stopped in 9 months? There was that break for 9 months and everything resumed. Why is it that when we're just going to get to election period, that's when he started that whole real thing that Buhari came and commissioned the real that we've been on for God knows how long now. And I don't see that happening again in another how many years. They started that other project, the road one we're talking about today, left it again. So I don't know.
Let me hear your thought, Jennifer.
The pressure is getting worse. And I'm actually very happy. Like Chinelo said, normally, when there's an re-election coming up, you have the past government who feel like, yes, it's going to fall on my laps. I don't have to do too much. And then you have situations where probably their opposing running mates is probably someone who's very docile, someone we don't know about, someone who doesn't have any manifesto, has nothing to offer.
They've never had a real competition.
Yeah, they've not had, so this is a real competition. And I'm very happy. Like you said, there's always that Dear Lagosians letter. It's like every 3 market days it comes up. And so every time I see it, feels like a text message. I mean, he sends it on Twitter.
And you feel important.
You get, I say, oh, Dear Lagosians, that's nice. Now you are addressing it because for years, he has been quiet about a lot of things. Now, people are calling him out and are asking, what have you done in the past 4 years? Now, I feel like as a governor, once you're like a sitting governor, if you've done anything to improve on the economy of the state, people should know about it. Because right now, I would have to ask, people have to ask him, what have you done? If I can't see what you've done, then that's a problem. And then the things that he listed, to me, I saw it and I was like, there was one building I saw in one primary school that looks like a lighthouse. First of all, I can't even see a staircase leading to that building. I can't see anything. The question is, why was that constructed? And why should that be something you are proud of to say you have done? We have a lot of issues to tackle in Lagos. We have housing issues. We have security issues. We have road. We have traffic. We have a lot of issues. And then you even have the roads that they commissioned, they started constructing, and till now, there is nothing to write home about it. We've not seen any progress being made. People are complaining every day. People who live in Songotedo are crying every day because they go through traffic. Imagine sitting in traffic for 6 hours every day. That will reduce your lifespan. I don't think anybody wants to die anytime soon. So please just vote for the right person. And I'm glad. Please increase the pressure.
I'm happy you're bringing those things up. And again, I wish Jerry sends his apologies. Actually, he's running late. Hopefully he'll be able to get here before the time runs out. But I was going to say that, I'm happy you brought up those issues. And let's even narrow it to this Lagos State gubernatorial race. Why are we having issues around ethnicity? Because again, people play dirty when they see that this is real competition. Over the years, I don't believe that there was ever a competition for APC in any of the previous elections. Why? I have a feeling like the PDP candidate is just there waiting to just come and front like I want to run. But he was never ready, really serious to run. And that's particularly one of the reasons I really did not like his person, because it's almost like you stay quiet and every 4 years you just wake up. Nobody saw Labour Party coming into the picture. So all of a sudden now there's real competition. And that's why we're seeing all these things that we're seeing, commissioning of projects, everything. So I was just talking to a friend of mine. I said, why do you have to wait every 4 years? At the 4th year, when it's an election year, you start commissioning different kinds of projects, right? Like you rightly said, if governance is felt by people, you don't even need to campaign. People will be the ones to campaign for you. And this is a message to our leaders. We are getting wiser every day. We're getting better. We're not there yet as a people, because if we were there yet as a people, certain things will still not be happening. We're not there, but we're getting there. And we're getting to that point where if you do not do your job, You understand? You'll be kicked out of the seat. It's as simple as that. So it's not a thing of you waiting till dying minute and you're jumping helter-skelter and trying to convince people to vote for you. If you did your job, trust me, you are unshaken. And that's the truth, because this thing is not, and that's why people that are bringing up ethnicity, people that are bringing up religion and all of those things into the elections, you are actually just, you're actually very ignorant. Because if you knew how important governance is, right, you will not be part of the people pushing those propaganda. Yeah. Trust me, a Tunisian or whatever can just come and become governor for all I care, as long as the job is being done. And I was listening to, what's it called? It was Yemi Adamolekum. She was talking on a talk show on TV, and she was saying that people have to be careful, especially the APC, because if you talk about candidacy and the terms of, say, okay, who is the bona fide Lagosian? What's his name? Sanwo-Olu is not a Lagosian. What's his name? Ambode was not a Lagosian, alleged. Even Tinubu is not a Lagosian, right? So if you were talking about, what's it called? If you're talking about incumbency and indigenous roots and all of that, this particular combo, that's why I'm saying that is the most, that's why it's interesting to me, because this particular combo of Princess Oyefusi and JRV, they are more Lagosians than any other combo, because Oyefusi is born, bred, buttered, everything Lagos. She's originally a Lagosian. JRV is Lagosian, and he has his mom that is from the east. So when they don't bring all these Omoale issues, and they bring issues around, what's it called, him going to hand over governance to the Igbos. For me, I think those are just very shallow way of campaigning. Now, let's even bring the subject of the Igbos here. Who are the drivers of the economy in every state in Nigeria? Every state, I'm not even specific to Lagos. Who are the drivers of the economy? Go to every state in Nigeria, the major markets that are churning out whatever. You see a lot of Igbo traders there, right? Igbos are the most industrious people. I used to say that I wish, I was an Igbo girl, because I'm sure by now I'd have been a billionaire importer, exporter. I'm just saying to you, they are very industrious. So when you start to bring those kind of lines, you reduce we must begin to learn to move away from those kinds of agendas and propaganda, and learn how to see. You know what has brought me where I am today? I learned how to tap into people's strength. Forget about their weaknesses, forget about their differences. Flaws. I just focus on people's strength, and that's all I focus on. I'm not interested in whatever, that's your headache, right? But if you focus on people's strength, you will get the best out of the people. And that's what we should do, because you cannot really claim anything right now. We must learn to harness the potential that everybody has. Because the human capital, I was saying it somewhere, I don't know where I was saying it, the human capital that we have in this country is enough to make this country a first-class country. But because of all of these small, petty lines that we divide ourselves in, we're not able to get there. And that is a big problem for me.
I have a question for Nigerians as a whole. Now, if we're going with tribal wars, I have just one question. Now, having an Igbo president, Igbo governor, or having a Yoruba president or governor or Hausa and whatnot, or Muslim or Christian, when we are suffering, we all suffer together. Because I don't think when the dollar was increasing and Naira was dropping, prices of things were going up, housing prices were increasing. When you were looking for a house to rent, did the landlord or agent tell you, because you are Yoruba, I'll reduce the price? Or when economy was getting really hard for a lot of people, did the economy tell you, because you are Igbo, I'll reduce the price? So I really don't understand it, because I think it is very backward for anyone to still be fighting these wars. It doesn't make any sense to me. When we are divided, we will not make any progress. But when we come together as one, there is supposed to be an end goal. It shouldn't be about where you're from, we complain about racism. We complain that, when Nigerians or black people go abroad or go to a white man's land or country, we are being treated differently. So if you're going to complain about racism, why do you come back to Nigeria and you're now tribalist? Why? It doesn't make any sense to me. We're supposed to love each other And I know that it is progress. I mean, we need to get to that point. But this is the same fight we've been fighting for years. Before I was born, before a lot of people were born. So why are you carrying a war that is not even yours? Why can't we just come together and vote for the good of the people?
So let's bring it back home, because it's important that we're saying all of these things, because again, these were the things that just started springing up all of a sudden. Because now, like I said, for the first time, it seemed like we have real competitors in Lagos. Real competitors, because before, as far as I was concerned, that guy, Jimmy Agbaje, as far as I am concerned, was Uwa. You know, as far as I'm concerned, Jimmy Agbaje is, you know, he was, what's it called? He was just a front because the guy was not ready. But he was not ready to be governor.
His advert was very sweet.
Which kind of advert is
Good songs were very, very sweet.
For this first time, I'm super excited and I'm looking forward to, 2023. But I think our guest is here. So when we come back, let's quickly go on a break. When we come back from the break, we'll have GRV join us, and let's quickly just, milk as much information as we can in such a short time. Stay with us, we'll be right back. All right, thanks for staying with us now. Gbadebo Rhodes Viva, popularly known as GRV, or the hopeful Nigerian, is the gubernatorial candidate, Labour Party, Lagos State, an architect and a businessman. He has had his first degree in architecture from Nottingham University and a master's degree from the prestigious MIT, Boston. Now, he ventured into politics in 2017 by contesting for chairmanship of Ikeja local government under Kowa Party. And in 2019, at 35, he won the ticket of the People's Democratic Party to contest for Lagos Senatorial West. And again, Gbadebo is a strong believer in Nigeria's future, and he devotes himself to developing fellow young people to take on the mantle of leadership. He's currently the governorship candidate that is putting everybody on their toes in Lagos, and he's joined us live in studio. Thank you so much.
Always happy to be here.
Yeah, so you're a friend of the house, so we couldn't have not had this conversation, but thank you so much.
Thanks.
Because time has really passed, I really want us to just quickly run through a lot of things. How prepared is Labour Party for Saturday, March 15th?
March
11th rather, yeah.
We're very prepared. We went into the previous election believing that there was going to be an electronic transmission of voting. And seeing what actually happened and seeing the results, because from our situation room, we got over 900,000 votes. And the PDP situation room reports also say the same thing. So since the INEC wants to take elections back to 2015 type elections, then we are going to be prepared. We are prepared for that. And we are also prepared for any form of intimidation or harassment that anybody thinks they want to bring against our people and our supporters. Is going to be resisted with everything that we have. So I encourage everybody to come out and vote. They fooled us the first time. We saw military vans moving around, and I have to commend the military. They did bring a level of sanity to politics in Lagos, and I thank them for that. And I ask that they do the same again, March 11th. But we are also prepared to resist any form of intimidation or harassment. And it's one thing to think. You have to think about it. Why would a government that's had power for so many years feel the need that they must harass and intimidate their way to keep a stranglehold on a state like Lagos? It literally is them condemning and indicting themselves, Because if you've done well, people should be able to vote freely and put you back in office. Not all this intimidation. I mean, civil servants now are being forced to vote, right? I mean, they are blackmailed, they are harassed. I'm coming from Alaba and going, you go to Alimosho. The Baale of Ijegun has come out to say that he's going to do Oro festival. So non-indigens should not come out from tomorrow till Monday.
Wow.
Meanwhile, Oro is something where nobody should come out at all. Not just non-indigens. But you see, these are also, we have to petition the commissioner, the police, the DPO of Alimosho, and also get the DSS involved in this, because we are not going to tolerate all of this. Right? We are working everything. You saw the injunction we got against INEC, and also injunction we got against INEC using MC Lomo. The fact that we are laying all the tiles, because this is a long game. But we're going to win on Saturday. I'm very confident of that. I was in Alaba today in Trade Fair, and the reception was amazing. People's spirits and their tempo is still quite high. And we want a new Lagos. We want a new Nigeria. And also, I have to say on TV that Peter Obi is going to get his mandate back. Of that, I'm sure.
We're hopeful for that.
Very
so I mean, I like what you're saying, you know. But one of the things that of course, your opposition have been throwing at different people is, oh, what experience does Badigbo have? He's just a businessman, he's an architect, and then what? You know, he doesn't have experience in governance, you know. What do you want to say to those kinds of people that say that?
I asked them, what experience did Alhaji Lateef Jakonde have in public service? What experience did Awolowo have in public service? And these are the people that they look up to. What Alhaji Lateef Jakonde did for 4.5 years, the APC government has not been able to do it in 2 decades. And what drove him? It was his capacity, his transparency, because he was not a thief, and his love for his people, and his visionary sort of leadership. And that's what it's about. Anybody that's been in this government for 20 years has only gotten experience in maintaining the status quo of state capture, of aggregating wealth to one man, his family, and his cronies, of being surrounded by water hotels supplying water. Meanwhile, they grew up in Lagos where they could drink water from the tap. Of having about 15% of people that send their children to school, send their children to public school, which means even the maid in a house that's barely earning enough is trying to get her children into private school. But these people that are complaining, that are saying that they have all this experience, they were able to go to public school, right? And this is the Lagos that we're in now, that they've given us. But they enjoyed the Lagos that they had. They were not flying abroad for injection that time, right?
So I'll let Chinelo and Jennifer come in, but just to take you back to what you just said, 2 decades of nothing. How do you think you want to correct that?
Oh, well, first of all, Lagos State has tremendous wealth. And when I say wealth, I'm not just talking about money. I'm talking about the capacity, human capital. Because people are making so much, they're pushing so many boundaries, and you consider all the odds against them. The traffic situation, the government working against them, government shakedown, multiple taxations, lack of an enabling environment. Lagos State ranks lower than Kaduna in terms of ease of doing business, and Kaduna is dealing with Boko Haram issues, right? But meanwhile, Lagos State is supposed to be commercial capital of Nigeria, right? So the moment you open up Lagos State accounts, make it transparent, set benchmarks to determine, okay, this is a good deal based on world best practices for road, for rail, then you can now start to stretch your resources. The moment people start to see transparency and accountability in your governance, the more the private sector is willing to invest in it, because Lagos State is feasible, it's underserved, there's so many problems that need to be solved, and people will key into it. There are many other parts of Nigeria that, no matter how brilliant your idea is, you don't have the population to be able to make projects feasible.
Absolutely.
But Lagos is one of the smallest states, or is the smallest state in Nigeria, where it has the hugest population. So it is extremely feasible to do things here. So for me, it's just, I mean, what Jakonde achieved in 4.5 years is that standard that I want to top. And I believe that we can do it. We can do it with the civil service. You see, now there's a lot of blackmail. People are going, the APC government saying, I'm going to fire.
Because I hear from the presidential results that they actually almost lost in Alausa. But let me let the ladies come in.
Okay, so I was going to talk about state capture, but I think you touched on that a bit. Okay, let me now come to transportation. We know that Lekki-Epe Expressway is one very busy, and then we have just that straight road that goes all the way to Epe. So I'm going to ask, are you going to provide any alternatives? Is there anything you're going to do
There's a
about
coastal
that?
road that's supposed to be linking from down New VI side, but currently has been built upon, and there are shacks there, which is another problem, affordable housing. So we're going to connect that coastal road all the way down to Lekki. And then on the other side of Lagoon, connect a coastal road from Ikorodu all the way down to Ekpe. And then link these two roads by 6-kilometer bridges, at least 3 or 4, right? That way we've created a belt road and a belt road design, which is the most efficient means of moving things around. And that will then open up this corridor. But for some reason, again, all of these things that seem, there doesn't seem to be a true effort by this government to actually make the lives of Lagosians easier. Every development that comes into place is simply a means of capturing more wealth for themselves, right? And that is why we keep saying that Lagos State is stifled and Lagos needs to breathe again. Right? Because for any development to happen, it must be that a certain interest has been taken care of.
Yeah. Sure.
But we are going to change that and create a Lagos State that is platform driven. So if you have a truck and truck meets requirements, you plug, play, you have your route, you pick waste, you take it for recycling, upcycling. You don't need to know anybody in the party.
This is interesting what you're saying, but let me bring you back to Governor Ambody. I hope you know that one of the bane of his downfall was the fact that he wanted to bring some of these innovations, right? Because there's an existing structure. 2 decades is not a joke. It's not 2 years.
Well, you see.
So how?
No, wait,
Yes.
wait, you see, you've answered your question. Ambody came through a structure that was extremely corrupt and only was focused on themselves and their interests, and wanted to bring innovation to it. You see, that's why I'm not going to run under the APC. Because as I'm saying all of these things in my head, I was just thinking that's nonsense. You can never do it because these people benefit from the mediocrity that Lagos is in.
Yeah.
But coming from another platform and bringing a new voter demographic. You remember every time I've come here for the last 2 years, I've always said this. We are bringing a new voter demographic to the ballot. We are redefining politics in Lagos State. So when we take this power, we can make things more efficient. Right? Because now we're creating a new system.
We're still working with the existing structures, the civil service, all of those people.
The civil service, Lateef Jakonde had the civil service. We're going to increase their salaries. We're going to give them more training. We're going to pay them a living wage, not a minimum wage. By the time you do these things for the civil servants, you can then, let me give you an example. See, because you pay people so poorly, you still pay the opportunity cost because of all the bribes that they take and how inefficient they make Lagos, which you then pay an ultimate cost because people and businesses are not going to come into Lagos. When you look at ease of doing business and the poor rankings of Lagos State, you need to understand that a lot of business is actually lost based on that. So we pay our civil servants well, we give them quality training, we reward merit and excellence, and we work with that civil service. Lateef Jakonde worked with the civil service. Awolowo worked with the civil service, right? So it's how the head goes, the body will follow. And that is what's going to happen in my government. I believe that the civil servants, they want to be excellent. They want to be able to be productive. I think that it's like how people think that these agrios on the road just want to be lazy. They don't want to do any work. It's because the state government has enabled them. They use them at this time to suppress votes. So whatever else
and
they
afterwards
do,
they discard them.
Discard them. But it doesn't mean that those young men don't want to work if you give them the opportunity, or they don't want to get skills if you give them the opportunity, right? And that's exactly how I see governance. So please, any civil servant watching this, your jobs are safe. In fact, you're going to earn more. You're going to have a better quality of life. You're going to have the access to be able to move to a middle class level of work. And the only people that have anything to fear are the people that have been stealing from the Commonwealth of Lagos for 2 decades.
So I like what you've said, but I want you to touch on 2 points. You said you're going to give the civil servants living wages and no more minimum wage.
Yes.
And to me, that's interesting and also very exciting. But riding on the living wage, now the standard of living right now in Lagos is very high, extremely high.
Yes.
Now, talking about housing, if I want to rent an apartment, I know 2-3 weeks ago, a friend of mine rented a 1-bedroom apartment for about 3.5 million. And to me, that's ridiculous.
It is.
I know how much he earns. And I don't know how sustainable that would be. So how are you going to tackle this? How do we get affordable housing? Because it feels like every year, year in, year out, it increases. I know how much I pay where I am. I'm scared to leave. I should have moved out last year, but I couldn't because looking at houses and the prices people were giving me, it didn't make any sense to me. Am I supposed to rob a bank to be able to pay for an apartment? It doesn't make any sense. And then sometimes I know people come in with money. Okay, you get to a point where your living wage or your monthly income has increased or your annual income has increased. And people want better lives for themselves, but they can't make those changes if housing is really expensive. So people end up staying in places that are not conducive for them because that is what they can afford. So I put it to you, I'm asking you, how do you intend to tackle this issue?
Please ask him because he's the architect of
Thank you. And I was going to say I'm uniquely positioned to solve this problem as an architect.
So please tell us,
So firstly, the issue now is that Lagos State development is too centralized. So everybody is working or wanting to come to work in Lagos Central. And everybody wants to live close to this place where there's development, right? So we need to open that up. And that comes with the coastal road design I talked about. So you're opening up Northern Foreshore, you're opening up Lagos East. We also need to open up Lagos West. That's the Badagry division. Bring developments in there. I ran for Lagos West Senate, so I've seen the state of development there. People and that axis literally don't feel like they're part of Lagos. So by, for instance, extending the blue line all the way down to Badagry, and you can now get on a train and come from Badagry or Ojo to VI, right? Automatically, if you're now spending 35 minutes on the train, it's now feasible to live in those places. You now increase the housing stock on these two ends. When supply starts to exceed demand, prices start to fall.
Not crash on this.
The issue is that right now, housing stock has not exceeded demand, right? So there needs to be a lot more housing stock built in places where the land is cheaper. Now, because people are building so much in Lagos Central, in this area, you have to think about the piling, the cost of the land. Imagine like Eco Atlantic, how much it had to cost to get all of that sand field. All of that will reflect in the cost of the building, which will then reflect in the cost of the rent. When you start to build in places that are on solid ground, like Badagry, like Ikorodu Division, it's a lot cheaper. And in doing that and creating a statewide transportation network, you can now open up Lagos State and start making local governments that are sustainable and are self-sufficient in themselves, which then incentivizes companies to start to relocate there. And with us as well, we'll be pushing for companies to have incentives for their workers to work from home at least once or twice a week. They get tax breaks, right? So the most important thing is to connect Lagos properly so that in moving around, you don't spend 3 hours in traffic anymore. The moment you do that, like on a Saturday, you actually realize that Lagos is not that big, right? Because
it's so easy
to move around, right? And then you start to realize that if the environment is clean, you have all the infrastructure you need, you have your healthcare systems, you have your primary education systems, you actually don't really need to move about too much. And that quality of development needs to go across all of Lagos. And that's what's currently lacking.
Because again, we had said before you came on board that there are some parts of Lagos that don't feel any
government presence, yes.
Government presence, and it's sad.
Yeah.
Because if you really talk about, because I want to bring it to ethnicity, because it's one of the things that have been driving your opposition, saying you will hand over Lagos State to Igbos, and all of that. But the Igbos, for me, I feel like they're very industrious and they've been in mega cities. So how do we now tie up all of these things nicely? And if you had one promise, to give to anyone that's watching, what would that promise be?
It would be to create infrastructure to go into all these markets and create an even quality of development across Lagos State. You see the roads that are going to the markets all around the Badagry division, the inner roads as well, is a complete mess. It's mediocre at best. And all of these things. And then also you then have, for instance, I'm coming from Alaba, right? 2 things that they said. One, the roads and the whole agri system where people that are bringing things into the markets, the money is collected from them 4 or 5 times on the same road. people taking things out of the market, more is collected multiple times. So people just don't even want to go to the market to buy things. And they literally said to me that the volume of commerce that has happened has nosedived. So not just because of the economy, but because of the infrastructure decay, right? So we're going to connect the markets a lot more. I mean, like on that axis, you're trying to get roads that are coming in from Alimosho, from Amuodofi, making it easy for transactions to happen. Also ensuring that the road infrastructure is solid and taking away all these young men that are wasting their lives on the street and reducing the ease of doing business, giving them employability skills so they become more productive, right? So these are things that we're going to focus on in relation to what you talked about. And I like that you said I won't take away the pettiness of this thing, because the amount of wealth that the Igbos, Southeasterners, and really non-indigens in Lagos State have brought to Lagos State, they are a major pillar in the economy of Lagos State.
Absolutely.
And it's very unfortunate because Lagos State, the indigenous of Lagos have a culture of openness and welcoming. This is why a man from Iragbiji could become something in Lagos. A man from Kwara could become something. A man that's representing Ikeja from Kogi could become something, right? But then all of a sudden there's this desire to change that culture and start pointing fingers and leave development out of the areas where these people live. And that's what we're going to change as governor of Lagos.
Absolutely. Let's quickly take comments then. Go ahead.
So past governors who came into power had also made promises. A lot of them had said different things that they want to do. And here you are, you're also making promises and you're saying a lot more things that are appealing to a lot of Lagosians. So my question to you is, why should we trust you? Why should we believe you? And if you don't deliver, what happens?
We will kick you.
I love that. So the fact of the matter is, I can only get into position because the people put me there. I'm not buying my way into office. I don't have the thuggery and voter suppression to get my way into office. And there's a thin line between love and hate. When people have put you in and you let them down, they will get you out. So the onus is now on me to deliver. And that is why it's important for people to participate in politics. Voter apathy has killed our democracy. And what we saw last week, Saturday, showed quality voter engagement. We won it. And also, I have to correct this idea that it was a win by a particular tribe.
No.
Lagosians voted for Peter Obi. We won in
More Yoruba
Koshofe.
people.
Yes, we won in Koshofe, which is mainly populated by Yorubas. We won in Shomolu, which is mainly populated by Yorubas. We won Alimosho. Magodo, which is mainly populated by Yoruba. We won in Ikeja, which is mainly populated by Yorubas. So people are tired, right? And so that's one aspect of it. Secondly, I think when a politician comes to talk, you should look at their pedigree, look at their antecedents. My love for Lagos and my love for Nigeria, I've been preparing myself for this for the last 12 years, or more even, more than that. Every decision, whether it's going to MIT and my thesis is on creating communal waste management systems for which I got a distinction, or working with the American government to solve flooding in cities because of Lagos' coastal nature and getting those skills and capacity, or working with the Chinese government to build vertically without losing community touch, because that is where Lagos needs to go because of our small footprint. Or come back to Nigeria and getting involved in affordable housing, or focusing on fighting the government based on their policies in relation to genetic modified foods. I love Lagos. I love Lagos. I love Lagos. I love Lagos. This is where my pedigree comes from. This is everything to me. So I've shown this consistently, whether it's being part of the NSAS movement. I've always stood on the side of the people. And it's not something that you can fake.
Absolutely.
And you can go and verify that.
Absolutely. This is actually the wrap up. Okay, quickly, let's take our
Okay, this one says, hello, Ways ladies. My message is to Jeremy. Jeremy should disregard the petty tribalistic and political mud-slinging antics. A weak person who lacks capacity to debate objectively on a subject matter resorts to baseless name-calling. I'm rooting for you, and this is from Ufoma.
God bless you. Thank you.
Good evening, my dear beautiful sisters of What Are You Saying? #Ways. Lagos gubernatorial race. I thank God for everything and for another opportunity to cast our votes again come Saturday, 11th of March 2023. My comments are not much. Honestly speaking, I am yet to recover from the daylight robbery during the last election. I cannot be proud of having someone who knows that he rigged an election as a president. It does not make sense to me at all. your guest made mention of something that has made my day, and I can confidently sleep well this night. He said that Peter Obi will regain his mandate back, and it sounds like music to my ears. My prayer is that Labour Party wins on Saturday. My name is Daniel Ilo.
I think a lot of people are rooting for you, JRB. You bring freshness to this campaign. I'm proud to say that you're a friend of the house. And we're looking forward to Saturday. For those young people, go out there and vote. And if you missed our quote for today, here it is again. Okay, so it says, we cannot be mere consumers of good governance. We must be participants. We must be co-creators. You must be part of people that bring in good people into governance. Thank you again.
Thank you.
And
so
I'm
much.
saying to you that I wish you all the best for Saturday's March 11th.
Thank you.
See you guys tomorrow at 8 p.m. as we bring another great conversation to your screen. Thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
Today on the Justice Court, the plaintiff, Favour Daniel, is asking the court to compel her husband, Isaiah Daniel, to be fully responsible for the upkeep of their children.
Previously on the Justice Court.
He came back from work. He does not drop anything for house. He came back from work. He asked me food. And I told him I didn't have any food. I didn't say anything. He dragged me from the bed. My leg, my bed is high as this. He dragged my leg. He said he must kill me today. That he doesn't know. Do you know whom he is? That he must do me something today. And now he started dragging me, beating me that day. I can't see myself. I now see my blood coming out from my nose. That day there was a cutlass there. I won't lie. Cutlass was at the back of. I don't know. I just frustrated. I don't know what to do. I removed the cutlass. He said, if you touch me, that is when he left me that night.
So what made you leave the house?
Okay. This your nigga where I bring come. You see how they beat her. Because I just want to, because I'm not supposed to bring this thing come. Because she go to human rights. The same this year. That's why I bring this come. Because I did not beat her. I did not come out here. Now my You want to bite. I dey shout like small pikin. You start talk, man. You say, man.
I can see where it's turning.
That is why I don't need to bring.
Let her see. Turn it to her.
I don't need to bring her.
To her.
You start talk.
No, where are you turning? I said to her. She wants to see.
I don't need to bring her come. And when she go to human rights for the
this is not fair for you. Stop.
When she carry that
maybe you see what you got that thing.
You understand my teeth?
Me una see am.
I can put my trouser. The man. I'm not. I can never lie there. Sit there for here. Now my pig won't bite. That makes me to take force to come out her mouth and I shout. Okay. That is why I bring this thing come. Because I don't need to bring her. Because she's the mother of my children. I can never lie against her.
Repent. There is God. Honestly speaking, there is God.
What make me
leave the
house? In the December, I call her sit down. Please and please. I want you to sit down and think about this life. That when two people stay without no peace, that thing no fit work. Every blessed day, quarrel. Every blessed day, embarrassment. Sometimes to even come out for my cup and say, to go to work, I feel shame because of wahala banda. Nobody in my compound even know my name apart from Barbara Fair. And nobody even knows say I dey sit for the house. If I come, only way that they know say I dey for our music where I play. I call and sit down, please. I take God home and she beg you. So, February, I come back for work. I no see her. I no see my children. I call her number no go. Because my children, if they don't see me, or I don't see them, they don't go dey comfortable, and I don't go sleep. I can't think whether it don't go in brother place again, because when you don't do, you go pack your children, you go in brother place. There's a time I call him brother. Okay, you don't know that this woman is married and pay dowry. Even though now she come your place, I no bother, but make she just leave my children for me. I am okay with that. My brother had to use Kekemara car and come around 12 o'clock in the midnight.
To bring them back?
To bring them back to my house. That he was not aware that he left the house.
Without your knowledge?
Without my knowledge. I look and say, maybe I see that in brother place, he go. I supposed to come out for house very early in the morning. I wait. Because the children, they go school. Around 7:30 to 8. Now so I see person enter. I say, why do you carry this children? On behalf of me, leave this place. He say, Mama Emeka die. I say, Mama Emeka die. If Mama Emeka die, does not mean say you know if you call me. Because since we've been together almost 2 years and evil greeting, good morning, you know day.
2 years?
Yes.
You were living together?
Yes.
We're not speaking to each other?
Yes. Yes, I talk, man. Good morning, you know day. Everybody will work on you. So, because Mama Emeka die. I say, Mama Emeka die. I say, okay. If Mama Emeka die, you must not go without not for me. Then I dress up. I go work. March, either first or 2nd of March, I go work, I come back. I say the house, it is very empty. Empty.
Okay.
The Indomie, the food, everything, which I buy for my children,
finished.
He pack everything. Everything, carry the children. Hoping that's okay, maybe in a brother place, he go. They break, because school was seeing. They break. I carry phone. I call him. He carry phone, give my son. Raphael, where are you? Raphael say, Daddy, I did Ososo. Because, no, Ososo.
Where's Ososo?
My village, Ojo State. That's where the only carry the boy go. I said, you did Ososo. I was so very happy. I said, you did Ososo. I said, okay. I call my senior sister. Auntie, my family did there. He said, no, you don't say anybody. I call him again. He carry phone, give my son. that is where my mind conquered and say, okay, this woman have the mind to carry my children, travel for far distance, down to a place without notice, without not information. Ma, 1 week I no fit close my eye like this.
When did they come back? They didn't come back immediately.
They spent 1 month before they come back. I no close my eye. I think only because she can able to have mind. With evil though an enemy, I be for him. For him to carry my children travel without notice. I say, that means say, she the only tell me say, now she be the man of the house. True. He already show me that he's a man for the house. I say, if I should stay like this, they come and meet me and she go see the same roof. You know if you walk like that.
So you now moved out before they came back?
Yes.
You got another apartment?
I got another apartment. I move. After I move, then as I pack.
The defendant Isaiah Daniel denies the allegation that his wife was funding him at the early stage of their relationship. He said the reverse was the case. He claims that he has not known peace since he got married to Favor due to incessant quarrel. He claims to be tired of the marriage and expresses desire to move on. Judge Fumi wades into this matter.
The issue now is they are no longer living together. You're still interested in marrying her?
No.
You're still interested in marrying him?
I don't know. We have done marriage and everything.
I mean,
for me, I'm not
talking
planning
about
to marry another place or whatever. You understand?
You don't intend,
again.
even with marriage counseling and everything to explore?
No, I don't interest in.
You've made up your mind?
Because, see, as you exposed me for the whole world to see.
It's not the first time. When people come here, they go for marriage counseling and they come back together.
No, as me say,
they are married unless you've made up. Look, let me listen. Don't talk over me. The issue is nobody can force you to stay married to her if you don't want to.
Yes, ma'am.
That is the bottom line.
Yes, ma'am.
So that is it. And well, you have children of the marriage.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you paying their school fees?
Yes, ma'am. So
let me paying their school fees? No, don't interrupt me. I've told you.
Okay.
Because when you are speaking, I don't. Do I interrupt you?
No.
So let me round up. Is he paying the school fees?
He's paid the school fees of last time. Like now. The lesson money never paid.
School fees? I didn't mention lesson.
The school fees, he never, this time, he gave them 15,000. The balance of last time is 23,000. The 23,000 with a couple with this term money, he paid 15,000. My children now, they don't have textbook, they don't have any book because he never pay anything for this thing.
What's happening?
For them.
Okay, ma'am. So the reason I say, let me explain for you, BC. My children school fees on 1st of August, on 28th of July, after she have told me that my son want to graduate to primary 1, that I should buy, they want to buy suit, this thing, I bring the money to her to buy it. On 27th of August, I was so very sick of malaria. So, that malaria began to go. After that malaria began to go, I wake up, sleep. I see one of my side of my leg.
One?
Side of my leg, ripe. I begin to look and say, wait with this. So, I say, may I go buy medicine. And that's one of my customers for road. And I say, why I know Waka Street? I say, na leg, they pay me. Because in a leg, I say, what happened? He say, I come on, I can't call it. And I do my shout. Say, this one actually na attack, but this one no.
So when are you going to pay up the school fees?
The school fees?
For the children?
The school fee, I make agreement with the school.
You've gone to the school to
yes.
talk to them, okay.
I talk to them. I show them the leg, say, na leg.
So you've arranged that you will pay later.
Yes, I arranged.
The children are still going to school anyway.
They are going, yes.
So you sort the school out this time. Okay.
And I made the server for the beginning, never pay 1 naira for their school one day.
Okay. So that is that. What else is outstanding? You give them maintenance.
Another one.
You give that 10,000 naira to them as you agreed.
That's how they do it. Normal thing how they do it. She now only she by herself go and tell the lawyer that that is no need again.
Huh?
Okay, there is need for it now. Because the children must eat.
Good. Mommy, sorry to say this. Where we are living now, just small a place. And this man go and rent 3-bedroom flat, 3 toilets. And he's saying that he's going to give me 10,000. Our house rent is expired. No, the NEPA bill, we are owing for 6 weeks now that we are owing. And they rent a duplex to live.
What's the situation about
and
their rent?
Now, this thing, where we are living now, rat, he used to enter there because I don't have money again.
To send the picture of what I sent for you.
This is the picture here. I ask you, where are you?
Help me to tell the landlord that I'm not.
She should tell the landlord.
Yes, that I'm not feeling fine.
Okay.
That is why I cannot able to.
That's why you send that to show the.
Yes.
Do you have the landlord's phone number?
The landlord.
You don't have it.
The landlord my landlord for the house.
No, where they live, your former house.
You
said you have moved.
I have their number.
So why didn't you call the landlord to tell
I called the woman to explain for her.
Okay.
The woman, because they like me more than anything, she's even begging for me to come back. You understand talking about? They're even begging. They lead down for grant.
Has the landlord disturbed you?
They have been disturbing me. And
when?
Our NEPA.
When did they disturb you?
Even if we can call them now. The sister will come back from...
No, I'm not talking about sister. Just calm down. Calm down.
Yes, ma'am. One of the...
Wait. Your landlord.
That is what I want to tell you, ma'am.
I'm not talking about sister. Your landlord.
They are the landlord.
There are many.
Yes. So one of them came to the house.
Which one of them?
One of the landlady.
What's their name?
I don't know her name. It's not all of them I know their name. That one came...
Not the person you've been dealing with. He has been dealing with before.
It's not the person. There are many. Because the man married 5 wives.
Okay. If you explain more better than you, because you never helped me to pay 1 naira to the house. The landlord have plenty of children.
Okay.
He died. So the person that I pay money to is one of their sister. But the other person that is collecting NEPA bill is one of their sister also.
Okay, separate. Okay.
When the other person that collecting NEPA bill called me, that Babarafe, sorry, how is your leg? How is your head? I said, fine. I said, madam, please, don't be offended. I never resume work. He said, I know, because I know they hold them.
So you know what I want to suggest? You know all of them.
Yes, ma'am.
You know the person for the house rent. You are the one that has been dealing with them for NEPA and every other one. Call them and let them know when you want to come and pay. And tell them to stop disturbing her. The minute they have your phone number and access to you, they'll have to stop disturbing, you know. And when do you have a mind to sort it out?
For the rentage?
Mm-hmm.
This, like the rented now, by the special grace of God, if probably she can able to release my children from me.
Release or have access to your children?
Ma?
What's the age?
Number 1.
Tell me the age of the children.
The age of the children, Raphael was 6 years.
6 years?
Yes. Then Rebecca is 5 years.
5 years. Let me tell you, there is no court in Nigeria because they're underage. But nobody will deny you access to the children. Do you understand what I'm saying? Even if the children are in your custody, nobody will deny access to the children. But because of the age, there is no court that will give you those children at that age. Unless you can prove that maybe the person is of unsound mind, that is maybe a state of insanity. You know, like somebody mad that is not right, doesn't have right thinking. Or maybe somebody that is into drug. You know, at times when you take drug, you go off. You know, there are some certain things that needs to be proved before it can tilt to the other side. But nobody will stop you from having access to the children.
Okay, ma. Thank you, ma. So then, number 2, she said, I'm the father of the children. There are birth certificates. Who is supposed to do it?
make photocopies of the birth certificates.
We are not dragging any birth certificate.
Pick everything out away from her bag. So
she said she will give you. You not ask her before. She just said she will give you.
Are we dragging the?
That is not an issue.
No problem.
You've not answered. So when are you looking at to sort out the rent?
For the rent, man, now I never get money now. Maybe let's say by the special grace of God, maybe by December.
Have you discussed with them?
No, I will discuss with them. Okay. Why I suspect not to discuss with them? Because she has served me paper.
For this place?
For this place.
The paper for this place, is it to disrupt everything? Is it not to make everything?
No, it's better for me to know.
Now you know.
So, better for me to know where.
But now you know. Now you know. Your children are still with her.
When you are talking.
And you know what? In everything, remember something, John. Remember that you are the one that is walking out of the marriage. Because for her, she's still there. She doesn't intend to remarry. It's you that say, I don't want her again.
Yes.
So do you understand?
Yeah.
So the fact that you are here, it's not like she came here because she said she wants to divorce you. And she never mentioned anything like that here. You are the one that is saying, I don't want again.
Yes.
But yes, nobody can force the two of you to be there. But at the same time, the welfare of the children matters. 3 weeks' time, this is how much I'll take down.
Like for now, what I'm trying to do now is I want to buy their textbook for them. Because my son is disturbing me. Their textbook. She get her shop where she dey work also. She will get money past me.
I don't have see. Mom.
So I dey pursue their with their textbook and their school fees now. So
she just said her shop has gone down. Is that not what she said?
Nothing in my shop. I'm doing if customer.
My children you are talking about, not about her.
Not what?
About she.
No, you said she's working. You said she has money.
May she support me for food for now.
You understand what I said? That is when you are making income, right? But if you are not making income, what happens? How long have you been apart?
For our shop.
You've stayed apart now for about 4 or 5 months.
For our shop.
No, I'm talking about you've not been living apart. You've not been living together now for how long?
For 6 months.
For 6 months. Have you been giving them upkeep and food?
And only this when I get this sleeping, I don't know if I carry for good.
Is that true?
That is not the truth. There was a time he traveled a month. He said he traveled. If we call him, he will say he traveled to so place, so.
But when he comes back, does he come to drop something?
He will bring something. Good, he's used to bring. But I can't, that time, if he say he travel, pass in shop, he will be in the shop. This leg that is paining him, the day he sent that thing for me that is at home, I call somebody, is in his shop. From that now till now, he used to be in the shop. It's just that he's meeting up to buy property for that house
let
where he
show
rent.
That video. Now that video.
I go show him.
Video for what?
Show her. Video for what?
Video. Which video?
That is the phone. The message I sent to her for.
He's just making sure that he do the other house where he rent.
No, we have passed that leg matter.
Normal, so that
we've passed by.
I can never stay for my shop. I told her say I know they for sure, which I did in shop.
Okay.
Because there's nothing you can do me. You can't kill me. If I no get, I no get.
No matter of
that is how it be.
Whatever.
So I know they for shop. I resume on Monday this week.
If they give you Bible now, you can swear that you resume. Or if we call somebody,
now you can't judge me for
you
that.
understand? No, I'm not judging you.
So allow the judge to judge
somebody.
Me, so...
Give him give mommy a number to call him. Those people that you are give mommy the number so that she will call them to know whether you are in the shop or you are not.
Okay. So
no first one. You should help me to speak to her. So, like weekend, if I feel like to come and carry my children, let her go with me.
Yeah. You need to... Are you denying yourself?
I'm even begging him to come and be carried because the Lord is too much. I don't have anything to do. And my brother is tired. He can't be feeding me and the children.
She gave me this.
You understand?
Almost 2 weeks ago.
Where?
2 weeks ago. Look at this.
But you don't live together again. How come?
He come to
my
house.
Children
to beat me.
You asked her to bring...
She's the one that bring them.
Okay.
She are tired.
She came to drop them?
Yes.
You want to drop your children with him?
What's happening?
No, I'm asking you. Do you want to drop... You know, because he requested for that earlier on.
I don't want to drop the children. School resume. He doesn't say anything. When I call him, that school have resumed. He say, I should go to her. That anything how I want, make I do the children.
Look, let me ask you one question. And I've asked that before. I'm repeating it. Have they sent the children home from school?
That time, he said I should do whatever I want to do. It's when I
At
drop the children.
At that time, were the children sent away from school?
They never start school then because it's new thing.
Look, let me tell you. You have a lot of communication gap. You need to work on the way you relate with each other as well. There are some things you cannot achieve by force. And there are some things you too cannot achieve by force. But you have, even if you are not getting along, on the children, you must learn to relate. Do you understand? For the interest of the children, you have to. The worst that can happen is, like the two of you stop, you say you are not married to each other again. Do you understand? But the children are still there. You have to cater for the children. So that is it. Work out the arrangement for the accommodation, as you said. Work out the arrangement for the NEPA. With that NEPA, those NEPA people, if you can't pay all now, give them something so that they'll keep on giving them. Because, you know, if it accumulates to a certain period, they will not give them light again. Then, when do you want to have the children with you?
Mommy, she can testify of what I'm telling you. My children, I don't take them play.
When do you want them?
To visit me?
Yes.
Anytime I feel like to come and carry them, which there's no school.
Okay, weekends?
Weekend, anytime.
Okay,
I know
we're talking about weekends.
Time to time, because I only come once in a week to come and see them. Because the reason I show you this mark, when she can't drop the children for me from my office, when she come in, that the school is resuming on Monday, she come in the morning. Because the letter is sent to me, which was brought for the court, that since when I leave the house, I didn't care about their school, I didn't care about their feeding, I didn't care anything about them. I abandoned them, I leave. So when she can't call me that Monday morning, the day they resume school, I told them, say, hold on first. Let's go to the court. Because you have sent a message that I'm not responsible for anything. Hold on first. He said, no, he cannot do it too. I hold the phone. I just say, take Okada, carry them, come. I collect them. The children were so very happy with me because if they're there now, the day for you now, the entire now, they no goes even go inside though. On my side, they go day 247. I carry them, we go house. They no get clothes to wear. I said, okay. In the evening of it, I now go back to the house. I go carry their clothes. That is where he enjoy me for those things.
Okay, to pick clothes from our place?
Yes, for the children.
So what's the injury for? For you not to enter or for you not to take the children?
I carry clothes. Say I should tell her where I carry my children. I carry the children go keep. I say, you said that you are tired for the children. You said you are tired for the children. I want to come and carry their clothes so that they can, because they cannot day
without clothes.
He bite me for here. For the hand, why I take the carry this thing.
Yeah.
I take first. Even the place they gave me paper to go, that was so fresh with the blood, everything. They said I should snap it. I said I will not snap it. Then after she do everything finish, I just say I can't sit down. Hoping that's okay, she will get a man will come down and say, okay, may come and say, okay, where did children go? When I stand up, look at it. Here, it tapped me again. Ask me whether I feel come out one shirt or all this thing. Those children, they stay with me good 3 days. I have to carry my shirt where they wear the time for their body to wear.
Before you now return them.
Before the lawyer now call and say, you cannot eat your cake.
Eat your cake and have it.
Have it. You that come and report somebody, it's the same you that they will cross the law. Is it possible like that? That's why the Nancy I should from that place.
The two of you have faults.
Judge Fomi helps both parties to reach amicable settlement. She rules after the break.
But like I said, you just have to look for a way around this. And I'm going to round up this now. As agreed between you to work out the accommodation.
No problem.
work out the NEPA bill, take care of your children, anything, all their welfare, make sure everything is intact. And if for any reason the children are sent away from school, or the accommodation problem or anything, or it defaults in any of what he has said, and it's already now affecting the children, at that point in time, you can come back to the court. Do you understand what I'm saying? Then you give him time. It's the children that matters. So do all these things. This is my ruling. Do you understand?
Yes.
As I agreed. And for you, if it defaults in any one of them, you know the way to the legal team's office. You come back here. That's my ruling.
Thank you.
Have you been cheated or have a dispute and want justice? Don't take laws into your hands. Log on to www.thejusticecourt.com and submit your case.
Hello, good afternoon. I am Kimberly Obiabo. This is the news update. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, on Tuesday issued certificates of return to winners of the February 25th, 2023 senatorial elections in Nigeria. House of Representatives-elect are expected to receive theirs on Wednesday at the same venue. The chairman of INEC, Mahmoud Yakubu, made the presentation at the National Collation in Abuja. Yakubu had on Saturday said winners were declared for 423 legislative seats, indicating that supplementary elections would be conducted in 46 other constituencies. In terms of party representation for the 10th Assembly, Yakubu said APC won 57 Senate seats, the PDP 29, Labour 6, SDP 2, NNPP 2, YPP 1, and APGA 1. For the lower chamber, the electoral chair said the APC has 162 seats, PDP 102, Labour 34, NNPP 18, APGA 4, ADC 2, SDP 2, and YPP 1.
Musa Mohammed Sani, Niger North, Sani Bello Abubakar. Niger South, Gia Peter Undali Kali. Okay, Adamawa South, Yaro Binos Dauda. Adamawa Central, Aminu Iya Abbas. Adamawa Central, Aminu Iya Abbas.
Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has removed the name of the embattled leader of the House of Representatives, Al-Hassan Ado Dogoa, from the list of election winners posted on their verified Twitter page. This comes after the electoral body declared him as the winner of the February 25th election in the Dogoa-Tundowa constituency. Dogoa was arrested for his alleged involvement in the killing of several persons and burning of the Secretariat of New Nigeria People's Party in the just concluded general election. On Wednesday, the House leader was remanded in prison custody by a Chief Magistrate's Court in Kano. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has directed the Sokoto State Resident Electoral Commissioner, Dr. Nura Ali, to stay away from the commission until further notice. The commission, however, directed the Administrative Secretary of the commission in the state, Hawa Aliyu Kangewa, to take full charge of the commission in the state with immediate effect. The directive was contained in a letter signed by the Secretary to the Commission, Rose Oriaran Anthony. INEC further directed the Administrative Secretary in the state to take full charge. The INEC Chairman, Professor Mahmoud Yakubu, had in a meeting with States Rec recently vowed to deal with any official of the Commission who contributed to the shortcomings of the presidential election. The Rivers State chapter of the Labour Party has adopted the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, PDP, Sir Siminalaye Fubara, ahead of the governorship and state assembly elections slated for March 11. The Rivers State chairman of the Labour Party, Denye Pepple, made a disclosure in Port Harcourt on Tuesday. The announcement was contained in a communique arising from the executive meeting of the party. Following the development, the party has dropped its standard bearer, Beatrice Etobo. Meanwhile, the national leadership of the Labour Party has said it has not formed an alliance with any political party. LP National Chairman Julius Abure, in a statement on Tuesday, urged millions of the electorate who believe in Labour Party presidential candidate Mr. Peter Obi, also known as the Obedience, to vote the party's candidate in Saturday's governorship and state assemblies polls. The Labour Party has fielded candidates in the governorship elections to hold in 28 states on Saturday. The party also has candidates for the 36 state assemblies. The presidential candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Atiku Abubakar, led other party stalwarts in a protest against controversial results from the presidential poll. Atiku said the party would continue its protest on a daily basis for a long time. The protesters marched to the headquarters of the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC.
We present this protest letter. Independent National Electoral Commission is directed to the chairman, attention of Professor Mahmoud Yakubu. We do not accept the charade of what has been presented to Nigerian people as an election in which somebody was declared, and therefore we call on INEC not only to cancel the election, but do the needful and conduct a very credible election that will be respected not only by Nigerians but the whole international community. Thank you and God bless you. Who am I presenting you to?
I've received this particular protest letter on behalf of the chairman of the Independent National Electoral Commission, and I promise you that this letter will be transmitted to him immediately. If there are remedial issues to be dealt with, we are going to deal with those remedial issues. But I want to assure you that this commission is a listening commission. This commission is a public trust, and this commission belongs to the Nigerian people. Our allegiance is to the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. This commission does not have allegiance to any political party. We don't have any allegiance to any candidate. Our allegiance is to the people of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I want to thank all of you for the peaceful way this protest has been conducted. The commission belongs to the Nigerian people, and whatever grievances there are, we will look into all those grievances. If there are grievances that can be redressed, we will redress those grievances. But I want to plead that all of us should continue to be peaceful, all of us should continue to respect the integrity of the Commission and also the integrity of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. But I want to most sincerely thank all of you for the peaceful way this protest has been conducted. I'm going to go and hand over this protest letter to the chairman of the Commission, and I want to assure you that the Commission will meet over this letter, look into it, and address some of the issues that have arisen as a result of this particular letter.
Now, the All Progressives Congress, APC, has appointed 12 senior advocates of Nigeria to defend the mandate of its presidential candidate, Bola Tinubu, in the just concluded polls. The legal team is led by Prince Lateef Fagbemi, SAN. It also urged party members to support the team in its efforts to defend the will and mandate of the people, calling on all parties involved to conduct themselves with the utmost professionalism and respect for the rule of law throughout the legal process. Reactions have continued to trail the Supreme Court's order that the old 200, 500 and 1,000 naira notes remain legal tender till December 31, 2023. That's on Street Views. Take a listen.
The Supreme Court is the apex court in the land, and they are men of wisdom, and I believe that they have viewed the position of the law and feel that that is the way to go. But if you ask me, you see, why did we have to suffer this much before this decision? The policy in itself is not wrong. I am one person who believes in using policy to control crime, to checkmate malfeasance. Now, policy can be used for social engineering and re-engineering, as I always say. Now, the issue is this. The program is designed to curtail kidnapping, to assist the security agencies curtail kidnapping, because once people are not able to move large cash around, then how do you expect ransom? And because, of course, the payment of ransom encouraged this kidnapping. And then so many other things that the currency redesign checked. But the implementation was what was really wrong.
I think it's right. There's been a lot of hardship. We all know that the policy is a good one, but the timing maybe, and communication, information. A lot of people really are suffering. Nobody is exempt. This morning at the bank, one of the banks that I went to, I had to leave because of the queue, and on top of it, their network was not even working. So it's a lot of issues. We need to relieve our Nigerians. We should love ourselves, really. It's a good one, so kudos that there can be some relief.
I think the law is the law. Every law-abiding citizen, whether the decision is good or bad, should adhere to the laws of the land. The Supreme Court is the highest court in Nigeria, so whatever they say, we are meant to take it that way. With the federal government on the policy, cashless policy. Where I have a problem is the way it's the transition process. I don't think the banks were ready. The apps are not working. The POS, failed transactions and stuff like that. That's where the problem is. Ideally, in developed country, I know in Shanghai, China, some people haven't seen cash in like 2 years. So it's okay. Cashless policy is good, but are we ready for it yet? I think now the court has given more time. I think the banks, whatever it is, should, draw a line that will ease the pains of Nigerians.
The essence of changing it is defeated by that ruling. It is a wrong ruling. We have gone through hell already. And the masses don't have the old notes. The implication of that ruling is that the big people who hid it under their beds and in their closets will start flooding the markets with it. Especially, we know, if you are captured or kidnapped, you pay with money. The money doesn't go straight to the bank. They bring it in trickles and then flood the system. It's a very bad ruling, and it's a very bad day in our society.
To other parts of Africa, Mozambique is bracing for a rare second hit by long-living tropical cyclone Freddy late on Friday night. A regional weather center said on Tuesday the United Nations monitoring station on the Indian Ocean island of Reunion warned that Freddy is expected to intensify this Thursday as it approaches coastal Mozambique with current wind speeds at sea averaging 110 kilometers per hour, gusts of 155 kilometers an hour, and barreling in a northeasterly direction. Its re-emergence has baffled meteorologists with its constant shift of direction and multiple record-breaking feats. Freddy has intensified 4 separate times, a first for a tropical cyclone in the southern hemisphere. It also now holds the world record for what's known as accumulated cyclone energy. Outside Africa, as Russian troops pressed attacks on the eastern Ukrainian city of Bakhmut on Thursday, residents of nearby villages fled their homes fearing Russian advance. Ukraine military general staff said the enemy was continuing to advance towards Bakhmut on its stem in the city. Machinery digging new trenches in the Shafiz Yar area west of Bakhmut were seen digging new trenches believed to be part of a new line of defense. Meanwhile, Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu said on Tuesday that the seizure of Bakhmut in eastern Ukraine would allow Moscow's forces to mount further offensive operations. Shoigu also said the West was increasing its arms delivery to Ukraine, but vowed they would not change the course of events on the battlefield. Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of Russia's Wagner mercenary group, which is leading the battle for the city, said last Friday that his forces had practically surrounded Bakhmut. The heavy industrialized Donbas region of eastern Ukraine comprises Donetsk and Luhansk, which are both claimed by Russia, along with 2 other Ukrainian regions as its own territory. In business news, Naira on Monday exchanged at 461.33 Naira to a dollar at the investors and exporters window. The rate represented an increase of 0.09% compared to the 461.75 Naira for which it exchanged to the dollar before the close of business on Friday. An exchange rate of 462.31 Naira to the dollar was the highest rate recorded within the day's trading before it settled at 461.33 Naira. A total of $108 million was traded at the official investors and exporters window. In entertainment news, Nollywood actress Regina Daniels has called on celebrities and movie producers to put an end to child labor in the entertainment industry. In a recent video she shared on her Instagram page, the actress spoke about the exploitation of young girls and how it can negatively affect their mental and physical well-being. She noted that she understands how dangerous the industry is for women, and she was only spared to a certain level because of the influence of her mom. Daniels also highlighted the emotional toll that young women can face, as she noted that young guys can defend themselves, but young girls will always be at the mercy of society. And that's the news update. For more stories, please follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and do subscribe to our YouTube channel at PlusTvAfrica and PlusTvAfrica Lifestyle. You can also view us from Limex on Limex.tv and Glow TV apps anywhere in the world. I am Kimberly Obiabo. Many thanks for joining us. Have a good afternoon.
Since the beginning of this campaign, Jando and Funke have rigorously traversed all wards in Lagos State, from Ikorodu to Badagry, Ekpe to Alimosho, seeking to know the true state of our state and where the shoe really pinches. They visited the riverine communities and places that have never been visited before by any governorship candidate in the history of Lagos politics. Funke's market storm is also the first of its kind by a deputy governorship candidate. Lagos. There's so much work to do. It is time to give the man who knows Lagos and can birth a breath of fresh air the chance to lead. Vote Dr. Abdulaziz Olajide Adediran Jandor as Governor of Lagos State. PDP!
Power to the people!
Coronavirus, a word which became popular in our vocabulary in 2019. But scientists and medical experts tell us human coronaviruses were first identified in the mid-1960s, meaning it has existed for years, centuries even. The World Health Organization, WHO, on March 11, 2020, declared the novel coronavirus COVID-19 outbreak a global pandemic. The first known case was in China, and there were reports that the virus originated from wildlife sold at the Wuhan market. Over 6 million lives were lost to COVID all around the world. In Lagos, Nigeria, the Ministry of Health confirmed its first case of the novel coronavirus on the 28th of February 2020. The aftermath of the pandemic has changed the way we live, the way we do businesses, the way we work, and the way we relate with people. There has been a good and not so good side to this pandemic, but in all, it impacted the entire world.
I think for me, and I guess for many other people, it was the hugest shock of the decade, because suddenly what you call normalcy disappears. Even the regular attempt at just moving out of your house is fiercely restrained. First, there was we had to start learning what to fear and what not to. And then for many of us, it was house arrest, whether or not you liked it. It's not what we want to hastily remember. We just know, like somebody humorously stated, that it's one of those years I didn't use, so I cannot add it to my age.
How I felt, the prevailing emotion during the pandemic, I was scared. During the pandemic, I was scared. When it first started, I was scared. I was scared because of when I turned on the television, I see the number of people who are sick or dying. It was very scary. When it first started, the fact that I couldn't go out, I couldn't go to work as I would normally do, even though I would work remotely. I couldn't go to work, I couldn't go out, I couldn't go to places, I couldn't go to church, I couldn't do anything. It just made me feel trapped.
So I think I must confess that it was one of those most rewarding eras or times for me, because I am very, very introverted. And so I'm one of those who, if I chose to stay indoors for 90 days straight, I would throw mental parties. It didn't have the sort of popular impacts it did on others who were practically scared of their own shadows through that time.
COVID-19 was a global pandemic. Everybody was affected directly or indirectly. I'm not an exception. We were greatly affected, but thank God we didn't lose any life in the family. Everybody came out of it stronger and better. The COVID actually had its positive side, which I will look at as rediscovering who you are and giving the best of who you are to the society.
I'm a legal practitioner by practice. My profession is legal practice. So at that period of COVID-19, many courts were not sitting. In as much as the lockdown brought some good, it also bedeviled certain professions.
For like a month, there was a lockdown. So the economy was shut down. So it affected me. And I believe it affects everybody.
By the grace of God, I didn't run out of food. Even though I'm working, I work with federal government. So I didn't run out of. But notwithstanding, what about other relatives who are depending on us? We could not able to stretch out help towards them. So definitely, if it's not affecting me, it affects most of my relatives.
Then I was overseeing a school, an international school. Our salaries were not halved, but were just paid like the basic of. So it was a terrible time. It was a terrible time.
Minister of State. So we should give the people. That is why they ask people to start home.
What comment?
Thank you. You're welcome.
Yeah, I certainly saw the impact of COVID around me economically. And I think it was the first time my wife and I had to sit to say, truly, there's an immense need to be grateful to God. And it was largely because we started getting calls from those who had to live from hand to mouth, whose income was strictly daily, and if they didn't do anything daily, then lunch was, threatened, dinner was, had to go on leave and the likes.
I remember this particular woman, very distinct. She stood out among the other people. She came in and she said that she has like 3 kids or 4 kids. I can't actually remember the number, and they haven't eaten in days.
I think one of the things I learned, or a number of things I learned during COVID, I would just list them in no particular sequence, is that I think one of the first thing is to understand your fears. There was just a cloud of fear that queried logic, even when you knew to God that this doesn't make sense, but you just have to do it. I remember standing in the queue in the pharmacy, and this guy went paranoid. You're standing too close to my child. You're standing too close to my child. And I'm a medical personnel, and I was wondering, Oga, calm down. You don't even understand what this is. And you're already paranoid over 6 feet and the likes of those kind of instructions that we were given. All of us had to learn and relearn health habits. I just recently, I remember being amused because I attempted sneezing and I quickly reached for my elbow and I said, how this hasn't disappeared, after almost 18 months, 20 months after that episode. So a good number of us had to learn some of the things that are very helpful today. We had to grow some degree of intimate familiarity with masks. A number of people who would never have used masks in their lives now, cling to them very fiercely.
I believe people would do what they are supposed to do when pushed, when pressed, even though it's the right thing. During COVID, usually you're supposed to cover your mouth, your nose when sneezing with your elbow. You're supposed to wash your hands regularly. It's something it's basic hygiene. But a lot of us didn't imbibe that. Now, post-COVID, whether or not establishments decide to maintain the culture of using a mask or continue to put a wash bowl and detergent or, liquid soap for you to wash your hand or not, your hygiene should be your priority. It just goes back to what I said earlier on, that that's what COVID has taught. Your health is very important, and hygiene is also something that you should take very seriously.
I think to expect a cure for a COVID would be to demand of nature too much. And I say that because it arrived and it met on the stage illnesses like HIV, malaria, And these, to the best of our knowledge, only have palliative options, not cure, not outright cure. So I think with every phase of humanity would come an epidemic like this that helps us reshape our perspectives.
Is it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria?
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Buki November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on PlusTvAfrica.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Good morning and welcome to the run-up. I am Uchechukwu Onodo.
And my name is Nyamgul Agaji. We're glad to know that you're there and watching us today, and we hope that today will be both informative, educative, entertaining, and everything that you want to have in a program.
And today we're looking at the statement made by Governor Godwin Obaseki of Edo State, wherein he said that Nigeria would break if the current ruling party, the APC, wins the presidential elections come 2023.
We also will be talking to someone who is doing a very marvelous job in the hinterlands, in the slums, trying to get children to read by gathering a lot of books and opening libraries for children to read in Ajegunle, and hoping that someone watching today will also make it a point to do something positively to further the cause of education in Nigeria.
And moving on from there, we're going to be having, like we usually do, a surprise guest towards the end of the show, and we hope you have a great time having these amazing conversations with us.
We do also hope that we are going to have Mr. Okeo-Sayentolu, who was this morning tackling the fire that erupted in Yaba, to get an update. But whether we get him or not, we're hoping that they have done a very wonderful job there this morning. But let's kickstart immediately with Honorable Kainde Bamgweton, the former Commissioner for Information in Lagos State. Good morning and welcome to the program, Honorable.
Yeah, good morning.
Okay. APC, PDP, Labour Party, and so many other parties. But there seem to be a lot of problems within these major three parties. I'm talking about the APC and the PDP. Let's start with you, the APC. You are a chieftain in APC. What are the chances, seeing that we have so many problems within the party and the cry of some Nigerians that some of the things that you did not sit down well with them? What are the chances of APC from your perspective in the 2023 election?
I think thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to be part of this event. The most important thing that has happened is the launch of the manifesto of the APC. It responds to the yearnings of the average Nigerian. It has done a self-critique of what we have done in the last 7.5 years, and it has proposed new measures, new perspectives, new targets to ensure that the party continues to respond to the yearnings of the Nigerian people. So I think that is a major landmark in this campaign, the fact that we have been able to do our own self-criticism. We've seen where we seem not to have done very well, and we have seen where we have done extremely well. And we want to improve on this, and we are offering Nigerians a better, an improved version, and a more a popular democratic option going forward. That is basically it. And that tells us that in terms of the mass of the people following us, we have already done our registration, and we know that we have large number of people across the length and breadth of this country ready to vote for our party. We, however, do not think that we should rest on our horse. We are every day trying to develop early warning systems, rejig our structures, engage, and as much as possible, convince Nigerians that we have an improved model, an improved mechanism, and a better delivery package than what they have witnessed before. And that basically is where we are now. So based on those factors, I have no doubt in my mind that we are going to win our elections come 2023.
I know my colleague is itching to also pitch in something, but let me just add this or have you clarify this. Before this manifesto was unveiled, as it were, your party, especially the presidential candidate of your party, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, had always said that it was going to continue with the legacies of President Muhammadu Buhari, which means whatever Buhari has done, he will make sure he continues and solidifies whatever the gains have been. Now, with the...
That is not correct. Your interpretation is not correct. When you say you are going to continue with the legacies, it means those ones that are admired by Nigerians. It does not mean old hook, line, and sinker acceptance. So I think we need to, when we take the words, let's also interpret them very well. It does not mean that it will be a old thing. It will take the legacy, the ones that are admired by Nigerians, the one that Nigerians can attest to as having worked will be taken. But the ones that have not worked will be improved upon. That's basically what it means. Thank you very much.
Can you identify some of these ones that will be jettisoned for the greater good of Nigeria?
Well, you see, when you say jettisoned, I use the word improve on them. Take, for example, you will have seen, for example, what we talk about security. And we think that there has to be more work in terms of security. For example, in terms of mobilizing Nigerians behind our security forces, there is a lot of inadequate communication about what our security forces are doing, about about the challenges they are facing on the field. And the point is, can we improve the weaponry, for example? Can we improve the intelligence gathering, for example? Can we also collaborate with other nations that are having the same problem and increase our capacity for combat readiness? These are areas that we can improve upon. And that's why we say that areas that people are complaining about. The first is that we did the research across the country, getting what people think about some of our policies, and we have seen some of those things, and we are working on those areas that we think people are having issues. Take, for example, we are talking of agriculture. This government has done a lot about local rice, but we could do much more than that. Right now, we know that 35% of the land available in Nigeria is under cultivation. Now, we intend to move it to 75%. And to achieve that purpose, we are looking at the river basins to see how we can use river basins to irrigate more land and therefore bring them under cultivation. We are looking at generating commodity boards to ensure that the farmers have better deal for whatever they are producing. We are looking at establishing more farmers cooperatives and providing them credit, and also providing more mechanized machines and the implements that they can use on the farms. So what has gone, we have to improve on it. In terms of security of the farmers, the Buhari government, for example, introduced what we call the Rangers program under the NSCDC, where rangers move to the farms and try and stand by the farmers and secure them. Now, we want to expand that, by developing also a civilian version of it, so that the farmers can feel at home, can feel secure when they're going to the farms. These are areas of improvement. And of course, we have looked at the exchange rate. We have understood that this exchange rate that we're talking about, is partly due to the monetarist perspective, the dominance of monetarist tools in managing the economy. We are saying that we want to shift the focus from monetary to fiscal options. In other words, we are trying to say that as much as possible, exchange rates will depend on the productive capacity of the economy. And therefore, our challenge is to see how fast can we encourage more production. If there's more production, how can we encourage more exports so that the naira can be strengthened? We are looking at debt obligation. Debt issue is also one of the issues we're having. We are saying, how do we now generate the kind of revenue to be able to pay back our debt as fast as possible? And that's why you are going to have a lot of taxes being lowered, but being spread so that more people can pay. Some of those things. So we are not just coming with an old thing. We are not just repeating what has been done, but we are looking at those areas where people are complaining, where the show is pinching their Nigeria and trying to see how best can we, within a short period, respond to their yearnings. So that's really is the way forward for us.
Okay. All right. Let me ask you this question. The APC primary elections in Rivers State has just been nullified. Can you give us an insight on why you think this happened and how do you react to this situation?
There is never a perfect election. When you have an election, things go wrong. There will be one or two imperfections, and therefore, until a litigant goes to court to raise issues about the process of an election, you may not know exactly where things went wrong. So I'm just saying basically that whatever may be the outcome of the litigation, I'm quite sure this is also not the end of it, because there will be appeals. And until it gets to the final supreme authority, we may not exactly know the state of the matter. So I will want to caution myself that this is rather too early to begin to comment, because there are stages in this that this matter will go, and until the final judgment is taken, you cannot really be able to know whether you are saying the right or not. And not being a lawyer, I have to also be very careful, even though I'm a political consultant and scientist, but I know that when you start at the primary level, there will be an appeal, and then until we find the final judgment, that's when we know whether this has really been annulled or it can still stand.
Some people have said your party has some kind of arrogance. You do the things that you like to do, whether it has public opinion or not. And that is the complaint, one of the complaints that the Rivers people, the person who took the APC Rivers State to court brought, that the people that were supposed to be on the delegate list were not put on the delegate list, that some other people were put. So it was wrought with irregularities, and the people that were thrown up as the candidates were not supposed to, because they were not elected by the bona fide delegates. How do you respond to the perception people have that APC is arrogant in the way they do their things, in their selection, in their utterances and all that?
Well, that's rather a wrong impression, and it's rather unfortunate that some people can have that opinion. It is basically important that a governing party that has control of the presidency and more of the governors cannot afford to be arrogant to the people. It's holding whatever it's holding as power in trust for the people. And that basically means that if you start with our president, you can see what we preach and what we do is humility, and recognizing that ultimately power belongs to the people. So there's no reason any sensible, serious politician or representative of the people can afford to be arrogant, because sooner than later you will have to call back to these people and seek their mandate. Now, having said that, the process of election of delegates is quite very, very clear, and it basically starts with the fact that every ward has a certain number of people that you should elect as delegates, 5 per ward. That is the prescription of the party. And for you to qualify to do it, you must have spent some time within the party. You must have taken the forms, paid for the forms. Now, in this process, we'll talk of management of a particular process. Along the way, in the process, there must have been one hiccup or the other that has led to this. But I also said this is a complaint that the lower court has had two parties and they have taken a decision, but the party that feels it has not gotten the enough justice, it also has the legitimate right to go to the next level and plead its cause. And that's why we say that it may be too early, too hasty to be judgmental about this matter. What I know is that if really people who are not supposed to be delegates became delegates, then you have to ask yourself, I mean, why, how did that happen? I mean, how did that happen? But it's not a matter of arrogance. In politics, too, there is a lot of competition. Groups and their tendencies who are always competing for advantage within the process. And in that process, influence will be part of it. So I don't want to prejudge this matter. All I want to say is that a party is an organization of human beings. Human beings compete for power. And in that process, people can take advantage, and certain processes can actually be abused. But until we get the final position of this matter, I would not want us to rush to the press.
Let me ask you this question.
Yes,
just very recently, Governor Obaseki of Edo State has come out to say that in a statement, he said that the country, Nigeria, would break if the APC wins the forthcoming presidential elections. I'm not asking you to react directly to that, but then why would someone make a statement like that? Do you think that your party probably somehow has given off the notion or the body language that your party is not in for the unity of the country? What do you say about that?
Is that Governor Obaseki is one of is probably one of our very, very, very worst governors. He has not done very well. You are aware that he just recently went to a water facility and wanted a place where he had been for over 6-7 years. He just visited the water corporation and wanted to now sack everybody, complaining about the way the place has been run down. That shows basically that he's not on top of his job. Now, if a person who within his own state is not on top of his job, I think he will be taking much more than he can chew if he attempts to go into the national platform and begin to ventilate what basically is a very wrong-headed idea. The fact of the matter is that knowing the pedigree of the president who served in Nigeria, who was in the Civil War, who fought to make Nigeria one, you will expect that one major thing that you cannot take from President Buhari is that he's committed to the Nigerian Federation and he is ready to defend it to the last pint of his blood. Now, if there are issues of a crisis, insecurity in the country, which the government is doing everything possible to stop, to combat, I would expect a very responsible governor who attends the Council of State meeting and who has intelligence with him to be much more responsible and patriotic in the statements. These are not the kind of time for you to make very divisive comments. Where you can play politics, you can campaign, but campaign on what you promise Nigerians to do. Your party, the PDP, which you used to be in our party, and then he ran into another party. That of course shows that there was no principled basis in the first place for him to have been in the party. But if you even want to campaign, let us campaign based on what we promised Nigerians, how Nigerians will look better, how the country will improve, how the exchange rate will come down, how the inflation rate will go down. Those are the basis on which we should be engaging each other. Not on such trite, such backward ideas as a party coming back and that mean that that Nigerians will be divided. Is he the only Nigerian who will vote? This is an election, and people are going to vote. He should allow Nigerians to vote. He himself, he will face this very soon. So Nigerians are the ones who have the votes to determine the fate of everybody. And making irresponsible statements, about the future of Nigeria is rather unbecoming of a governor. And I think basically it's something that he should have. He should feel. He should be honorable enough to withdraw that statement because it is clearly very, very irresponsible.
Revisit the achievements of this present administration and some of which you are going to build upon if you become the party at the center again in 2023. The present administration came on the heels of security, corruption, fighting of these ones. They will bring the economy to a level that $1 will be 1 naira. And right now, $1 or $1 is almost like 1,000 naira.
Yes.
So the way to solving a problem is by identifying what the root cause of that problem is. What have you identified, your party that is trying to give us a new lease of life, according to how you're saying, what have you identified as the reason for the failure, or at least the perceived failure, because you may not agree with me that security, economy, and all the corruption and everything, it really didn't rear the head that we hoped, or it didn't really get the kind of fight that we hoped this administration was going to give it. So what are the problems that led to the perceived failure of the present administration in fighting these 3 areas that you intend to address, that makes you have the confidence that the incoming administration, if you win, will be better than this one?
Now, let us understand very clearly that a nation has a history, and the economy also has a history. And let us understand that at the time the APC government came into being, there has been another party, the People's Democratic Party, which has been in government for 16 years. Let us also understand that it was a consensus. In fact, the basis on which that government lost power was a general agreement that it has wasted resources and set the nation back many, many decades. Now, the yeoman's job of transforming deficits to plus within a shorter period is a major challenging issue, and we have to recognize that for many months, many of the structures put in place by the PDP had to be undermined, had to be combated, had to be transformed. And one of the single initiatives in that respect was the TSA. The TSA was meant to ensure that a lot of agencies and ministries and departments who are holding on to government resources, were forced to remit them back when they were not used, so that there could be a central accounting system for most of government operations. And by the TSA alone, millions of naira were saved because of many ministries having over 20, 30 accounts in various banks, bank charges and all sorts. And of course, it also meant that the corruption environment was shrunk, was reduced to the barest minimum. People didn't have the kind of leeway that they had under the PDP to go out there and concoct and engage in various dubious transactions, which took away a lot of government money. So the TSA remains a major factor, and we have to look at it very well as a major achievement of the government. And another area where you have to look at, for example, is that the government turned its attention to agriculture. The government said, let us produce what we eat. And the government took that seriously to the extent of having to shut down the borders of the country to limit the importation of rice so that the local growers of rice, could work. And we saw the evidence at the end of the day, the return of the rice pyramids. In Kano, in Katsina, and Kebbi in particular, we were able to achieve increased production of local rice. And not just local rice alone, also went to cassava, also went to other products. Now, that means that we have been able to at least, work our talk of saying that Nigerians should produce what they eat. And interestingly, one of the people working against this is one of the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, who is an importer of baked beans. And also that means that what is importing is killing the beans farmers who are not able to get the right price for their products because of this massive reckless importation of food items into the country, which continuously suppress the living standards of our people and our farmers.
We need to just...
So agriculture is one area, therefore, where we can proudly say that we have done very, very well. And what we are going to do is to make sure that as we fight insecurity and reclaim more farms from the insurgents, more farmers return to their farms, and the production of food will become another issue. And of course, going forward in this area, we have already said at the Bank of Agriculture, which is a major credit agency for funding agric, will resume its operations. Right now, what is happening is that you are turning monetarism into fiscal areas where the central bank is the one producing money. When in fact the Bank of Agriculture is laying prostrate. So we intend to ensure that the Bank of Agriculture takes back its place as a major funder and credit agency for promoting and producing better foods for the country. And not just that, we have also said that we intend to increase cultivation of land under cultivation from 35% as it is today to 75%. And our strategy for doing that is to start with the river basins, to use irrigation to reclaim more lands to come under cultivation and target crops that have very strong yields so that Nigerians will have no reason to continue to import food items into this country. We have discussed that. We have said that the farmers need a better deal. And in better deal, we say that we're going to bring back the commodity boards of old.
We're trying to have a conversation. And if you're not going to listen to us so that we can have a conversation.
This is
well, you asked me, we just did a manifesto and it's a very, very 80-page document.
For you to also let us have
other things.
I get to tell Nigerians what you have in stock for them. Thank you.
Okay, we have a few things. When you say some things, we would like to just, lest we forget, ask some questions that are pertinent to what you have said. But because for lack of time, let's just see this. The common man on the street doesn't really know what TSA has done to Nigeria. All he knows is that the debt profile of Nigeria is getting to $60 trillion. All he knows is that the dollar is higher. All he knows is that a bag of rice that was 16,000 is now up to nearly 40,000. And when you talk about you improving agriculture, you improving the economy, you bringing some innovations that have helped to save the naira, everybody will just be wondering what that is. But maybe since we are still studying the manifesto together, that would be matter for another day. We have just discovered that a lot of issues have been raised, and we might need to call you back another day to come and say some things. So for now, we'd like to just thank you for being a part of our show today.
Thank you very much. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Okay, I really wished that he would have had a conversation. Yes. He would have, so that we can ask other questions and then make it clearer to Nigerians, answer the questions that are burning on the on a regular Nigerian's mind. Because when you begin to use terms like the TSA and they don't understand it. You understand? I probably would know what a TSA means because I had to do research over and over on certain issues because of the programs and the kind of work that I do. How about the person that is selling foodstuff in Yaba Market? Does the person understand what TSA is?
Now, even if I know the meaning of it, and even as a learned person, if it doesn't translate to making my life better.
And food on my table.